Oh, hey. I think I've promoted the stream by posting it to one thread on Reddit.
I sent the link to Marlo.
Great. I'm going to tell June.
What does it say, Grimmhammer?
Oh, I should probably put that in my stream information. Grimmhammer is the mod I'm using.
Oh, okay.
Steel Faith Overhaul. Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, I have told everybody. Everybody knows. Let's get some audio here. Okay, good. Alright, so I'm Nick. I'm gonna explain Warhammer to my girlfriend, who is also on the stream with me.
Hi.
Oh, hi. Do you have questions for me first? Should I open
I do.
Okay.
I do have questions for you.
Okay.
Just a few. I'll be brief.
Do you want to ask them first?
I do. Is that okay?
Yep, that's okay.
Okay. So when did your love of Warhammer start?
Oh, my love of Warhammer.
Well, I mean, I guess maybe that's a two-part question. When did you first play it, and then like when were you like, oh shit?
That makes the question even more multi-layered. So the first time I heard about Warhammer, I was 19 years old and going to a rave with some friends in Calgary. And one of them just started talking about her wood elf army. And she was like, oh, you gotta paint all these miniatures. And I was like, that's pretty cool. I suck at art, but that sounds cool. And then a few years later, me and one of the buddies I was going to the rave with, we were like, we go to this mall that is nearby, and there is a Games Workshop in it. So we bought a starter set. Oh, but not before we played like a tutorial game that the store clerks helped us put on. I'm not gonna eat a chip in the middle of my answer. Very important.
So there's more than one version of Warhammer, is what it's sounding like, because there's no like.
Well, there's no like
little things.
So back then there was Warhammer Fantasy and there was Warhammer 40k. Warhammer 40k is not what this game is based on. That's like their sci-fi IP. But Warhammer Fantasy was the one we were talking about. Warhammer Fantasy ended a while ago, and got turned into Age of Sigmar, which is like a post-apocalypse quasi-reboot. It is a hotly debated topic in the community whether Warhammer Age of Sigmar is better than Warhammer Fantasy. But suffice it to say, it was it's not relevant to the story. Anyways, we went to Games Workshop, and one of the people working there, very friendly fellow, I'm pretty sure he's done this more than once. We just went in and we were like, how do you play? And then he was like, well, I have this I have this army all set up for tutorial games. And they had like a cool map and stuff, and it was like a turn-based tabletop game. So that was the first time I played. The first and only time I played the actual Warhammer tabletop, like in person. There's ways to their Games Workshop doesn't want you to know, but there are ways to play it online that are not strictly legal. Anyways, after that we bought a starter set. And we would get stoned and paint. I was very bad at painting. And eventually we got bored of it. And I never played Warhammer again. But I kept the set for a long time. I actually gave it to Chris like 2 years ago. Because I had like all the unpainted models just sitting in a box in my house. And then sometime in... It was either the late aughts or the early 2010s. Warhammer Age of Reckoning came out, which was the MMO. It was like one of the first like World of Warcraft killers. Spoilers, it did not kill World of Warcraft, and it died really quickly. I think it lasted like 3 years. I still play it because a bunch of intrepid fans of the game picked it up and started their own server called Return of Reckoning that I sometimes play on my stream once in a blue moon. The game is very old. But anyways, that's kind of what got me into the lore of the Warhammer fantasy universe. I really like dwarves. They're a very boring race to play. But that is arguably where my love of dwarves as a fantasy race really kicked off. That was a really boring.
I like play like dwarves in that. Was it like an online MMORPG?
Yes, you've seen me. I think you've seen me play it once, and I was playing as a dwarf.
Maybe. I think that you've talked about it, but I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe I should play that. And you're like, no, you have to go through a whole thing, and you have to download to even get on a server.
It's a pain in the butt to play. It's easier to play Star Wars: The Old Republic.
And I was like, no, let's play Star Wars.
It was actually Let's Play Lord of the Rings, and then I realized I hate Lord of the Rings online.
It wasn't good. I don't know why you did that. But now we're playing Star Wars. It's okay.
Because I really like the idea. I love the idea of playing in a Lord of the Rings like universe, which is part of why I like high fantasy settings so much. And then fast forward another 5 years in the it must have been in the mid to late aughts that Age of Reckoning came out, because I think 2014 was when Total Warhammer 1 was released.
Total War.
Yes, the first Total War Warhammer game came out. It was Creative Assembly's first ever non-historical game, or at least, I think they've made. Yeah, they made an Alien game, actually, that is really well loved, called Alien Isolation. But that's neither here nor there. It was the first non-historical Total War game they had made. And I thought it was really cool, and I played it for an hour. I was bad at it, and I quit. And then fast forward to last year, we're in the middle of pandemic times, or maybe it was a little before that. Either way, I picked up Total Warhammer 1 again, and I finished a Dwarfs campaign. And then I was like, sweet, this is awesome. And then I bought Total Warhammer 2, and I fell in love instantly, and I've been playing ever since. So that is... Also, at some point I was bored at work. Sometime in the past decade, I was bored at work, and I went to 1D4chan and read their entire wiki. So that is the basis of most of my lore knowledge for the Warhammer universe. I just realized I was not having face cam, so I was just holding a chip between my fingers for a solid 10 minutes there on camera.
Well, you kind of answered my second question. I was going to say I know that there's other Warhammer games, and I was going to ask if you played them, but
yeah.
went into it.
There are
sweet.
maybe actually there's a decent few Warhammer Fantasy games, but I would say there are under 10 like still active Warhammer Fantasy games still in existence. There are lots of Warhammer 40k games, but not very many total Warhammer Fantasy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think this is a hard question because I love lots of things, and I don't think I could articulate like why I love like what exactly it is that like motivates me towards those things. Or if I did, it would be like a big internal discussion, and I don't want to have. But I guess my question is like why do you think Warhammer is like why Warhammer? Like I guess this is twofold, like as a cultural phenomenon, but also like for you personally.
I guess it was the right place at the right time thing. Like
okay.
I've always liked fantasy universes.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know. I like the spin Warhammer puts on it. It's a high fantasy setting, but it is comparatively darker to a lot of them, I'd say. It's dark. Okay. It's dark, but it's not a low fantasy setting. So
you say darker, but like everything that I've seen so far of Warhammer 2 is like the lady, like
yes.
It's like very irreverent.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Total Warhammer 2 is it's got like so the universe is very hammy, but also there is a lot like Warhammer in particular, both 40k and fantasy has a very problematic past. Like there is like lots of back fiction, and there is a lot of just depravity. Rape is like just uncomfortably common in this setting. Thankfully, not in the games. But like the books are generally written to be very graphically gory. It is, and it's like it's
have you read a lot of the books?
No, I've only read like 2 or 3 of them. One of them, you were in the car with me when I was listening to the audio.
There was a vampire thingy.
It was Drakenfels, which turned out it was a pretty fun book.
Cool.
But even that one had like some of the like body horror is a big thing when chaos is involved.
Yeah, I remember like that there was like a sorcerer or a mage or something in that book that we were listening to that like touched a door and then like just melted like his whole like whatever spell he triggered would like just.
And that was a regular spell. That comes nowhere near like the graphic weird body horror bullshit that comes from like direct contact with chaos, which we'll talk about when we get to the Warriors of Chaos and probably Norska.
Okay.
But it's really not emphasized in this game. But yeah, chaos it's one of those like really you develop tumors everywhere that give you superpowers kind of grossness.
Fun. Chimera. No mutation action. I'm into it. Okay, so I have one more question for you, okay. and then I will just ask questions as we go. And
then I start explaining the lore.
I'm sure I will have a gajillion of them. So I am like, I would say, beginner intermediate at fantasy as a genre. Like I've seen like a bunch of movies, and I've read like Gorman Gast. Anyway, so like. For me, though, fantasy is interesting because it always has like some kind of central thing that it's interrogating, or it's doing that through. So, for example, Lord of the Rings is all about like the Ring of Power and how power relationships affect populations and stuff like that.
You're gonna get a really unsatisfying answer to this question. I can tell.
I'm sure I will. Or like World of Warcraft is like Horde versus Alliance. You know, that's like the main conceit. What is Warhammer's central tenet or like conceit?
Well, Warhammer is based on a war game, therefore the universe necessitates that there always be war all the time. I think like the tagline for the series at one point was just like endless war or something like that. One of the emperor of the Empire of Man says "Endless War" as one of his unit triggers. So everything is miserable all the time, and as the universe developed, it only got more and more miserable. And then it ends with the apocalypse, which is not canonical to this game, but there are a couple characters from the end times, which is what they called their big apocalypse event at the end of it. I guess the inevitability of chaos might be, like, some intrepid writers in the series may have written with that slant, but the fiction has been touched by so many different writers between the novels and the very, like, I want to say there were 6 or 7 editions of fantasy before it ended. So there were, like, reiterations of the fiction in that. There were also a couple, like, really big retcons. And we talk about Marathi, I will tell you about the retcons. But yeah, like, so it's, I would say it's inconsistent aside from war and death are inevitable, I guess, maybe, is the theme of this setting.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I am receptive. I am open. I hate constant war.
I'm sure the people who live in the Warhammer universe also hate it, except for the orcs and chaos, I guess.
I don't know. I'm down with chaos.
Mm.
Well, chaos magic never hurt anybody.
Chaos.
It's definitely hurt lots of people.
These chaos are definitely, like, a bit up on the. They're basic chaos. The faction is basically super Vikings. And as, of course, they do a lot of pillaging and they do a lot of raping. So maybe not the kind of chaos you're down with. Fair assumption. I'm not down with the killing and raping. That's it's a fair assumption. There's a lot of killing in this game. There's not a lot of raping, as far as I know. There are slaves if you play as Dark Elves. In fact, slaves are a currency mechanic in the Dark Elf campaign.
Thanks, designers.
Well, unfortunately, it is thematically appropriate for their race. Like, they're real big on slaves. So I guess I'm gonna run through every single one of the characters.
I guess so. So, what the Eye of the Vortex and Mortal Empires? Which one are we doing?
We'll probably do Mortal Empires unless. Like, Mortal Empires is the big, like, super map with every faction in the game, and the first game as well. Like, they combine the first game and the second game into one giant map. Eye of the Vortex is a bit more story based, but it's limited to the races that came with Total Warhammer 2. So you're losing out on a lot of characters.
All right.
So we're gonna go to the Mortal Empires selection, and we're just gonna go through all of them. All right. So let's start. I need a drink. I'm already looking at this, and I'm like, oh god, what have I done? All right.
Well, you know.
Let's start.
What a helmet.
This is a theme with the Dark Elves.
The High Elves are all about the helmets.
High Elves got some real helmets. Dark Elves sometimes have some real helmets too, like real.
Wow.
The elves are generally referred to by orcs as pointy heads for obvious reasons. Anyways, so. You can't really talk about Tyrion without Teclis. Tyrion and Teclis are twins. Tyrion is the cool warrior guy. He's very forceful. He's a giant dickhead. I guess we should start by saying the High Elves are one of the older races in the Warhammer world. And that they, as High Elves are, they're very, very uppity about themselves, very, big superiority complex going on. Prince Imric, when we get to him, is like the grand poobah of arrogant dickheads who look down on everybody. But yeah.
Fun.
Tyrion and Teclis are two exceptionally gifted High
I'm
elf.
gonna ask a question right now.
Okay.
Are there any redeemable characters in this universe?
Yes, a couple
Okay.
of them exist.
All right.
Most of them
All
are
right.
Tyrion, and Teclis is actually probably one of the the quote unquote good guys who exists in the universe.
Good qualification, probably. Probably.
The only one I can think of at the top of my head is a Tomb King, and we'll get to her eventually. She's way down that list over there, and maybe. The Lizard Men are pretty good in that they want to get rid of chaos, but also they have this bad habit of genocide. So it really knocks them down a peg.
Yeah, like nail biting, hair chewing, genocide, for sure, all in the same camp.
Just a
bad
real
habit.
bad habit.
Yeah.
I'm going to change this before I forget about it. Okay. Anyways, Tyrion and Teclis, they're twins. They
to my power.
So
one of them has a sword and goes smashy smashy. The other one has a big staff and goes magic.
So Tyrion is probably the more quote unquote alpha of the two. He's definitely very, very tough, very strong. Sleeps with the Ever Queen, even though he's definitely I guess she can have a harem. She's got a lot. We'll get to her eventually. Tyrion is basically. I should have clarified early on. Like I am not a lore master of Warhammer Fantasy. This is going. I've made a point. I'm not going to check any wikis while I'm doing this explanation. I'm just going to try and do it all from memory. I am not
fact checking you. I'm taking everything you say
exactly.
As this
so
is the truth. Yeah.
I could. I will probably fuck things up.
And I'm not watching the Twitch stream, so if people are correcting you, I'm not seeing it.
It's okay. I'm not. I'm paying a little bit of attention to chat, but that's about it. I said hi to one person who popped in, and then yeah. So if anyone in chat wants to correct me, don't bother. I'm just gonna keep going. So yeah, Tyrion. He's a cop. He is. That's his thing.
He's a cop. Next.
He's the sheriff of Ulthuan, which is kind of like Atlantis if it didn't sing. Teclis is his brother. He was born a sickly bitch of a boy, and at some point in his life, he decided, I could probably do more than this. And then he became one of the greatest mages the Warhammer Fantasy universe has ever known. And also, he traveled the world and did the Lord of the Rings thing, where he hung out with people. It's like, I'm going to help you with your problems. That's not a Lord of the Rings thing. What am I thinking of? I don't care. The Drizzt thing, I guess. He went out into the world and helped people with their problems. He was kind of a good guy. Until the end times. And then it turned out he was a grandmaster manipulator, and yeah, he became much more of a bastard when end times rolled around. But thankfully, end times not canon in this game, so we'll ignore it.
Light of
Ilaria the Radiant is the current Ever Queen. Contrary to the title, she has not been the queen forever. She's been the queen for a very long time. I should point out the actual king of the High Elves is not in this game because refreshingly enough, he is a diplomat and not a warrior, so he gets other people to do his fighting for him, which is not very common in the Warhammer universe. You have I
like that she makes things grow. And that she fights barefoot. I think that's pretty badass. I'd be worried about splinters or pine cones or some shit. But she's nah.
The splinters work for her.
Yeah.
She has a lot of nature stuff. I don't actually know a lot about Ilaria in the lore of the universe. Just that she's the queen of the High Elves. She's been that way for quite some time. She's married to Finnebar, the king of the High Elves, and she's real good at magic. Also, her daughter gets kidnapped a couple times.
It is dust.
Alithanar is the most emo elf.
I have a type, and this is it. I'm gonna just say it right now.
He is.
This is like the Snape of my dreams.
He is the prince of Nagaroth, which is a region of Ulthuan that is mostly sunk into the ocean. And he
global warming.
No. When we get to when we get to Malekith, we will talk about it.
Okay.
But yes, Alithanar was basically like, fuck you, Tyrion, I'm gonna go across the ocean and kick Malekith's ass, because you won't do anything except sit on your ass in Ulthuan. And I got cool ninja assassins. That's his thing. That's all I know about him.
I am sworn.
Eltharion is Batman. That's not a joke. His title is Eltharion the Grim. Unfortunately, in spite of his ridiculous helmet, which has a big heart on it, even though his title is Eltharion the Grim.
You know, I like juxtaposition. It's like when you have a song that's like really happy, but it's about like being in prison, and you're like, oh no. You know, when the form doesn't match the content, I find pleasure in that. So I'm into it.
Mm-hmm.
Eltharion, keep on wearing whatever you want.
I'm disappointed to say that we can't play his campaign because it requires we do a battle that my computer is not powerful enough to handle. So maybe if we do more of this, where I explain Warhammer to you, we will play his campaign.
Okay.
I was born.
Emmerich is a dick. That's all you really need to know.
I mean, he has a dick on his forehead.
He's one of the.
Makes sense.
I think he's one of the 3 most powerful.
And his dragon has a dick on his forehead. Double dick.
He'd be like that. He's really the embodiment of the typical, like in the greater fantasy fiction of like the high elf who's like, I'm very high and mighty. Humans, gross. Dwarves, gross. Only high elves for this boy. Also, he's really good at dragons.
You know, secretly, he's like smashing an orc on the side. Like, you know, like, it's like, yeah, anyway, I won't go into it. I'll try not to get too political. I know this guy, though. I know this guy. He's like one of those senators who's like, birth control is terrible, birth's terrible, and then, like, as soon as his mistress gets pregnant.
I'm pretty sure his mistress is a dragon, let's be honest. So, that's his other character. Other character trait.
Like that is playing with fire. I tell you what.
That is Immerich's other trait, is that he is horny for dragons. The dragons used to be really important allies of the high elves, and at some point there was some type of schism. And Immerich's whole deal is, I'm gonna get the dragons back because dragons kick ass, and I kick ass. So why not have dragons?
I appreciate that. I appreciate having like a furry representation. I'm into it.
We've got the Skaven for that, and the Beastmen, which is a pack I will not be explaining because I don't know it. All right, we're done with high elves.
Okay.
Lizardmen.
So okay, do the general lizardmen thing like you did with the high elves.
Yeah. I'm gonna eat the sunset first.
I'm gonna drink this wine first. I already forgot all their names.
It's okay. You should be writing down the ones you like.
Well, I mean, I am, but also I'm writing them down by the names that I made for them.
Okay, cool. We'll see if I can figure out which ones are which when we're done the roll call. The lizard men are they're the oldest living race on the planet for Warhammer Fantasy. They were created by the old one? No, I think it might be the ancient ones. They're kind of like the progenitor race. They made the planet. They made a whole bunch of the people. I think they made elves, dwarves, and it's they're the I'm trying to reach back into my Warhammer lore, and now I'm reaching back into my Lord of the Rings lore. They are the ancient ones are basically like the first race from the Silmarillion. I think it's the Einar, maybe. I don't know. Doesn't matter. We're gonna talk about Lord of the Rings. I need to stop. I should probably put these chips out of range.
They're called lizardmen, but this guy has like frog feet. He's a frog.
It's okay. He's basically a toad. But like it doesn't matter. They're all reptilian or amphibian in nature. They come out of spawning pools. So anyways, there are... So
lizardmen is like a limited term,
I guess. I'm not sure if the Slan were part of the first like the first wave of lizardmen, I guess. The lizardmen were created in kind of waves called spawnings. Lord Mazdamundi is from the second spawning, I think, and he's like Teclis, he's one of the most powerful spellcasters in the Warhammer universe. Sorry, I have to roll back. I have to explain lizardmen more. Lizardmen have 3 contingent races. 4. They have 4.
Okay.
There are the Slan, which are these toad guys. They got real big brains. They're real good at spellcasting. They are the administrators of the Great Plan, which is a great plan that the Ancient Ones left with them before the Ancient Ones.
A plan for genocide?
Not maybe, kind of. Genocide probably factors into it, but it's more like this is how you create a world that is ruled by order and not chaos. Then there are the Saurus, who are like this guy. They're like big, tough. They're the lizard.
Oh, they're Bados. Oh, who's this guy? Hi, Croak.
That's his.
Croakgar.
That's his.
Oh, that is just a misunderstood Lizzie. I tell you what. Look at that. Oh, affinity. I'm into it.
Yeah, Croakgar, as far as I know, he doesn't have a whole lot of lore aside from he is a big, tough lizard man who has lived a long time. Also, you might notice he has an arm cannon. He is that arm on his right, on the left there. That is an arm cannon. Because he lost his arm at one point and did such a good job killing people without it that they gave him a new one. And then there are the skinks. This guy's an exceptionally buff skink. But skinks are like the intelligent lizard men. So Saurus are, I guess, they're like the foot soldiers. They're the big tough guys. They follow the orders and do the military stuff. Lizard men, on the whole, are very intelligent beings, except for the Croxigar, which we'll get to. But the skinks are, after the Slan, they are the smartest. They are the administrators. They are the spellcasters. They're the tacticians. There's another one. And then there are the Croxigar. The Croxigar were created as kind of hard labor race, but they're also used in combat from time to time. They don't have a whole lot in the way of lore, as far as I remember. But yeah, they're crocodile men, and they're big and tough. And that's the... and yeah, so anyways, the lizard men have been around for thousands, maybe millions of years. They... for a long time, they were asleep, and then they were woken up when, of course, white people from Europe came across the ocean and started showing up in the fantasy North America, or South America. I guess it was South America. And then they started eating people, because they were like, you are not the Great Plan. So yeah, that's the Lizardman overview. Let's go. Lord Mazdamundi. He is a Slan of the second spawning, and he is the second most powerful Lizardman caster. And actually, I guess in the canon, he's the oldest living Lizardman caster, until he died in the end times.
It's got great jowls, like good jowl work.
I'm not sure if you can. I'm not sure if you figured this out now, but they're very Inca inspired. Inca/Maya inspired.
The headdress is subtle, but I did pick up on it.
You might have. I'm sure you've seen a pyramid in the background a couple times.
Yeah, it is subtle. But I managed it. Thank you.
That's about all I know about Lord Mazdamundi. Which is bad, because he's like an important main character for the Lizardmen. Croakgar and Gorok we can treat as basically the same story. Croakgar is real aggro and offensive. Gorok is like, he's an immovable object. He's
a Triceratops is what he is.
Yeah, he's hard to I is kind of his deal. I actually looked him up a couple days ago, because I was like, I don't know anything about Gorok. And his thing is, he's real hard to kill. He does not have much history aside from that. Also, he's white. That's important. I think his title's the White Lizard. It doesn't. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Mohawk Man.
Yep. His name is pronounced 10-in-1, which is like skinks always have names that are just regular ass words, but spelled funny. Like the next skink is tic tac toe. Like,
it's like a fantasy pun.
So 10-in-1, he found some interesting tablets in his city that were not found in any other Lizardman city. And they outlined an important part of the Great Plan. Involving... So, Sotek is a Lizardman god. He is a giant snake. Yeah, that's about it.
So he's like a cult leader.
He's a cult leader, and he's also...
Okay.
It turns out the cult's belief was correct, and at one point, I think, during the end times, Sotek is summoned and blows up an army or something like that.
Nice.
He's arguably...
It's good to have your beliefs reaffirmed. Like, it feels good. So, I appreciate that.
He is the most important skink character in the Warhammer universe. Which is this guy's name is Tic Tac Toe. Nakai the Wanderer. That's literally all I know about Tic Tac Toe. Is his name is Tic Tac Toe. Nakai the Wanderer is like a guardian figure for the lizard men. He wanders around. He fucks up intruders. In Lustria, that's the South America equivalent of the Warhammer universe. And yeah, he basically exists to tell non-lizard men to get the fuck off his lawn. And that's kind of his whole deal. He's a Croxigar. He's real cool. He has what the fandom calls, I think it's called the Gator Death Roll, which is a thing where when he engages in combat on a charge, he dives like face first into the units and like rolls on them, and it's real fun. It's a real good animation. Yeah, Gorak, we've talked about him already. He is a Saurus. He's hard to kill. That's his thing.
He's white.
Let's talk about elves! More elves!
This helmet to me is very much like Hel from Thor. Is it Thor 2 where Hel comes and blah blah blah?
Yeah, his helmet's got big Hel energy. Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
We got a Hydra back there.
Yep. Monsters are a big thing in the Dark Elf army. Malekith is one of the oldest living elves, period. He is obviously the king of the Dark Elves. So he was the son of the first, if not, or rather one of the first High Elf kings. And he was supposed to become the High Elf king. But the other princes, they voted for a different guy, because democracy, aristocratic democracy is a good thing, I guess. He was real salty about it. And so was his mom. This is his mom. We'll get to her later. Malekith was like, okay. And he like left Ulthuan for a little while. He traveled the world. And then eventually Marathi was like, my son, you should claim your birthright or something like that. And then Malekith... I'm really abridging this because it's a really long story. Malekith goes back to Ulthuan, gathers all the High Elves, including the king, together. And he's like, oh, let's... a toast. And it was... Surprise! The toast was poisoned. And he was like, haha, I'm the king now. Everyone's dead. And then as a part of becoming the High Elf King, you need to step into the Flames of Asurian. Asurian is another High Elf god. And the Flames of Asurian are, as far as I know, an ever-burning pyre that exists on Ulthuan. And you have to step into it to become the Phoenix King, because you must be burned and reborn. But Malekith was not worthy, and he got set on fire and burned real bad. And he was like, oh no, that's not how this is supposed to be. And that's why he's wearing that fucky suit of armor, is because his body is actually
I was like,
burned.
does the mask ever come off? Or
No, it does not. Or maybe it does. I think...
Like, maybe when, like, he goes to bed at night, he probably, like, takes it off.
No, I think the helmet...
Like, wears a pair of joggers.
I think the helmet stays on all the time. But, let's get to Morathi, who was...
Wow, another helmet supreme, I tell you what.
She was a mistress of the first Phoenix King. And obviously she bore him Malekith. And she has kind of always been the Whisper from the Shadows character for the Dark Elf lore.
She's certainly not big on clothes.
No. So that's
like
the thing.
Big helmet, little clothes.
She is also a member of, as you can tell from her faction name, she is a devotee of Slanesh, who is the chaos god of rape, depravity, pleasure, etc. Big extreme emotions. So most of her type are always not wearing very much clothes. Big on sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and violence.
And killing other people is what I'm getting to. Like, when I say sex, drugs, and rock and roll, I don't mean like...
If you're lucky, you get killed. Mostly, you might get tortured for eternity. But yeah.
Fun.
Morathi,
so basically, like Morathi, no matter how much fun it looks like maybe don't text back. You know? If she matches with you on Tinder, like maybe think twice.
She is the avatar of "Don't put your dick in crazy."
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a metaphor.
Also, she's fucked her son.
Okay, I guess. Yeah, we'll leave it there.
It's implied in the lore that they were lovers for a while after Malekith became this lovable, besuited gentleman we know today.
You know, sometimes you get so close to someone.
She has spearheaded numerous incursions into Ulthuan over the years, but then she didn't, because Games Workshop decided, I don't know, maybe they don't like women, I don't fucking know. They retconned her story so that she disappeared from a bunch of history and was just kind of like, I don't know, I hang out with the Cult of Pleasure. But like in the original fiction, she had engineered a bunch of rebellions and stuff like that. I don't know, she was pretty cool. As far as, like rape, murder goddesses go. Speaking of rape, murder goddesses, this is Crone Hellebron. She, I don't know.
I gotta say, the abs modeling in this game is great.
When you wear as little clothes as the Dark Elves do, you really gotta sculpt those abs. Crone Hellebron is, she's a witch elf, which is basically a section of the Dark Elf military, I almost called them drow, full of almost naked women who are really good at violence. And at one point, she was young and beautiful, and then Morathi was like, I'm jealous of you, and then cursed her to look old. So now she needs to bathe in the blood of slaves, like once every fortnight or something, or else she looks like this. And she has a really annoying game mechanic where you actually need to do that, where you need to like sacrifice slaves in order to...
Yeah, it says you need to sacrifice slaves to trigger a death knight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a, I mean, I'm not gravitating towards the Dark Elves.
she-
Just because, like, I get how they'd be fun to play. Like, you know, like I like playing Sith on the Star Wars, but, like, you know.
I mean, at least the Sith appear to have principles most of the time.
I mean, they're murderous principles, but I feel ya.
Next up is Loki O'Fellheart. He's a pirate. That's all I know about him. He's got a cool Cthulhu mask.
Yes, I like that.
Son of
Malice Darkblade. He probably
Again with the
he probably has an interesting backstory, but I don't know any of it. And he's possessed by a demon. His campaign mechanic revolves around drinking elixir that prevents the demon from taking over his body. Or you can just be like, fuck this Malice guy, let's let the demon take over his body, and then the demon takes over his body.
Nice. So those are the Dark Elves.
Those are Dark Elves. I'm taking a hot second to take some water because my throat's getting sore.
How many races are there?
Like 10?
Okay, alright.
Like 5 characters each until you get to the old ones. Are you ready to talk about Skaven?
I'm ready. I'm taking. I know you think that this is a joke, but I'm taking notes.
Okay. Skaven are chaos worshipping rat men. That's it. That's all you need to know. Okay. Okay, no, there's so much more to them.
You closed our stream.
Did I? Do I need
Yeah.
to rebroadcast?
I would like that.
That was weird.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Trying not to belch right into my microphone. Alright, so it's working alright?
It's not. It's loading.
Okay.
I don't know. What's up? Maybe it's my internet?
I really don't want you going off Twitch, because there's definitely like a lag time.
Oh, yeah. It'll be a nightmare. Maybe I will restart, and I will hop back in.
Alright, I'll call this a break. Yeah, I don't see that. No, it's not showing up on my screen either.
Okay.
Hold on. Don't do anything yet. How about now?
Yep, there we go.
Okay, alright, cool. Alright, no breaks
Sorry,
then.
technical difficulties.
Oh, jeez. Technical difficulties on a live stream. Who'd have expected it? Alright.
It never happens. Everything's perfect all the time. So far, this has been flawless.
Quick Head Taker is,
A little on the nose.
I mean, all Skaven names are on the nose. Like,
Quick hit taker.
yep. I'm not sure if you can see it. He has skulls on his back. They're all lore relevant.
I feel like that would get in the way of fighting, though. Like, I would just grab that and swing him around a little.
There's this concept
Yeah.
in D&D that we call, well, it's not just D&D, it's role-playing and games in general, called the rule of cool. So if you can do something cool, it doesn't matter how stupid it looks or impractical it is. It's cool.
Was that your way of saying Emily let it go?
I guess. Quicksteel is that he is a high-ranking general for... There are 13 big Skaven clans. I'm not going to go into all of them. But Queek is basically the second in command of one. And he is also the most violent. He's also obsessed with this place called Karak 8 Peaks, which is also very important to the Greenskins and the Dwarves. I forget why it's important to him specifically.
I'm like a little freaked out that he has like hands, like praying upside down.
What do you...
on his back thing. Like, that's a lot.
I'm not sure. Like that thing right there?
Yeah, up top. Do you see
That's
above his head?
I think that's a troll head, actually. Or Tomb King's head.
No, I think there's 2 hands, though.
No, I don't.
Like, right in front. Bound together.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not going to look up what his trophies are. Anyways, yeah, that's his thing. He likes Karagate beats. Lord Skrolk, I don't actually know anything about Lord Skrolk except that he fucking loves disease. And that, yeah, he is, he runs basically the plague cult wing of the Skaven.
Okay.
Tretch Craventail, I don't know anything about him except that he is treacherous and craven. And his lord abilities are all, like, also focused around being a treacherous douchebag. Like, you get bonus public order for breaking diplomatic treaties with people. I've heard he is also the worst Skaven. He might be the worst legendary lord in the game, is what a lot of people say about him. But I've only fiddled with him.
Like worse, like to play, or like worse, like morally.
He in terms of like like it's thematically appropriate that his stats are bad and that he's not a very good fighter because he's supposed to be a huge coward who runs away from everything.
Okay.
But we're gonna move past him now because I don't know much about him, and we're gonna talk about Ikit Claw, my boy Ikit, the most interesting Skaven lord, because he makes all their horrible death bioweapons. Skaven are really, like, gadgety, for whatever reason.
But different than dwarves?
Like, more than dwarves.
Okay.
So dwarves are really good at tinkering, but also they have ethics. Skaven don't. So Skaven will do all sorts of horrible, depraved things to get what they want, including inventing the nuclear bomb, which is a thing that Ikit gets that only Ikit gets. And you can literally drop a nuke on the campaign map with him. And it will do exactly what you expect a nuclear weapon to do. You won't be able to settle that spot anymore. It will become completely unlivable. But yeah, Ikit's thing is he has all, like, so it's not just nukes. He also gets Skaven motorbikes, which are essentially, I just realized this now, they're basically bladed hamster wheels with motors in them. He also gets bonuses on, like, lightning cannons. That is one thing I should mention about the Skaven, is they are big on a resource called Warpstone, which is created by chaos corruption. And it basically gives you really awful superpowers. Like eating Warpstone, humans sometimes do it too. It'll give you those nasty superpower tumors. We're going to move past him now, because I don't actually know anything about his lore. I just know his themes, and his theme is big explosive gadgets. Deathmaster Snitch is...
this guy's cool.
He's a ninja rat. So now I get to bring up Nippon, which is literally Japan and exists in the Warhammer universe, and his clan trained with the people of Nippon. And I should also add that his clan was founded in, like, the 1990s, when it was still okay to say all Japanese people are ninjas. So his entire clan is ninjas, and he is the best ninja. And that's kind of his thing. He's also the most competent of the Skaven, I'd say, or at least the playable ones in the game. Throt the Unclean is addicted to Warpstone, and as you can see, has 3 arms. He is, like, to say he is the mad scientist of the Skaven would be inaccurate, because they're all mad scientists. But he is the one that focuses the most on mutations. And that's, like, it's actual central game mechanic for him. He gets access to the Clan Molder Flesh Laboratory, which lets him perform horrible experiments on your units.
Flesh laboratory is a terrifying combination of words.
Mm-hmm. You can feed like mutation juice to your units, and they'll get like special bonuses. But if you do it too much, they will become less and less stable, and then they will literally explode when they're on the battlefield.
Wow.
Yep. All right. Are you ready for the vampirates?
The vampire coast is
Wow, not just vampires. Vampirates.
Well, there are actual vampires, but they're from the older games. So. We're not going to talk about them much because they are not a... Games Workshop did not actually talk about them very much because they were not an official faction. They were... I think they had an army list that was featured in like their Dragon magazine equivalent, which was called White Dwarf. But that's the only time they ever actually came up in the main war game. Luther Hark. Okay. Oh God. We're getting into Tomb King's lore here. Vampire. So that. Fuck. Where do I start?
Okay. How do vampires function in the Warhammer universe? Like, are they, stake them in the heart, garlic vampires, or do they have kind of a different bloods? Like, you know what I mean? Or do they have kind of a different intersection?
They're a little more powerful than your standard folklore vampires.
Okay.
I think they can go out in the sun, or at the very least, like they don't die in the sun.
Mm-hmm.
But if you stab them enough, they die. The basic thing with vampires is that, like, one, obviously you drink blood. That's all you can eat. You get a trait called the hunger. But in exchange, you live virtually forever. Like you live until somebody destroys you, unless you're Vlad von Karstein, who we will get to eventually. You have no soul. That is literal. That is not figurative. When you become
souls are big in this lore.
They're not that big. Losing your soul in the Warhammer universe, not actually that big a deal. But you lose a lot of your... So, it's not very consistent, but the general idea is that you lose your concept of empathy. But that is very inconsistent, like the vampire in Drakenfels, whose name I forget already. But like the main character, Genevieve. Genevieve definitely has empathy and is definitely not a bad person, but she is a vampire. But yeah, Luther Harkon is not a good vampire. But
he's got a great eye patch.
Yep, he's very piratey in that regard. Luther Harkon was once shit. Okay. We're going to take a little plot detour here. So, before the vampires, there was ancient Egypt, known in this universe as Nehekhara. And they had they thought about death a lot. They thought about legacies and stuff like that. Kind of like real ancient Egyptians, except with more magic.
I don't know. Ancient Egyptians had a lot of magic.
Like tangible magic, like you summoning fireballs and stuff like that.
Right.
But anyways, before them, necromancy did not exist. Until, I'm pretty sure it was Nagash, who was not featured in this game. He discovered necromancy. And... I forget her name. She's also not in the game. But Khalida hates her a lot. Her name sounds like Nehekhara, but it isn't. She created the first vampire, basically, using undeath magic. And the Luther is one of those people.
Oh, an original.
Yep. Skip forward like 100,000 years.
Just like the CW.
You're so funny.
Yeah, well, you haven't seen the originals.
But yeah, skip forward like 100 years. He spends a lot of time in a tomb. He wakes up on the coast of Lustria, and he's like, damn, I'm a pirate now. Um,
As you do.
he pirates for a while. He is a pirate. Yarhar fiddle-dee-dee. And then he becomes obsessed with lizard men treasure. And he starts stealing from them. And then one day he activates a booby trap that fractures his mind into, which is, he gets Hollywood multiple personality disorder. Or dissociative identity disorder. But it's definitely, like, the way it was characterized and the way, when he was created, it was called multiple personality disorder. So, yes.
And it's very, like, caricature of that.
It's
like,
very,
not
like,
an actual...
today I'm the beast, or today I'm the fancy floppy lady, or whatever, and so on and so forth. Anyways, that's Luther Harkon. He wants to undo his curse so that he can become a normal boy again. Also, he's a vampire.
The Dread Fleet comes.
Count Noctilus is from a board game. He is a vampire. He's related to the vampires in Sylvania, but then he decided to be a pirate. That's his whole story.
ready to cast.
RNS Assault Spite is not a vampire, but she's in this faction because they couldn't figure out where.
Oh man, look at that peg leg!
2 peg legs, in fact, both made of
my
shark.
word.
Both full of shark teeth. But yes, she is not a vampire. She is actually a Norskin human. She is an ex-Viking. And there's not much to be known about her because she is also from a board game. And yeah, she's just a pirate. Like, if you aside from the fact that she's Norskin, she is as like Yarhar fiddle-dee-dee as any pirate could be. She is the campaign I'm currently playing, like, in my free time.
Okay.
Even though she is, like, objectively a terrible character, because she doesn't. All of her bonuses apply to a unit that doesn't actually belong to the Vampire Coast Army. So it's just really hard to make them good. And yeah, it's she's tough to play as. She's a good starting position though.
I shall submerge Oathwan.
Silostra Darkfin is a wholly original character to this game because the Vampire Coast is not a well fleshed out faction. She was an opera singer, in case you couldn't tell from her look. She was supposed to be going to Ulthuan to put on an opera, and then her ship sank. And then at some point she stopped being dead, and then she became a ghost. And she was like, I'm gonna be a pirate now. Fuck, that's all I know. It's probably more going on there. I don't know. She has all the characters she's very hammy. Also, I think she's supposed to be Bretonnian.
The final act.
Yeah, except she's got a posh British accent instead of the lady.
Well, lots can happen when you become a ghost. Who is it for me to question the metaphysical transformational experience,
All right, now move on to the Tomb Kings.
Yeah, dead Egyptians. Let's do it.
Yep. So they were.
How are you doing, by the way?
I'm doing pretty good. My throat's
You hanging in there?
Throat's getting a little raw, but
You're doing great.
if PewDiePie can pull it off, then I gotta suck it up and keep going. Cetra the Imperishable is like the iconic Tomb King Lord. I think he was the one who was tricked by Nagash or Archon the Black to basically kill his entire race and bury them so that he could become immortal later. Man, I don't know a lot of Tomb King's lore. I just know they are dead Egyptians. They were promised eternal life, and the monkey's paw curled, and they were like, "Yeah, you can live forever, but also you're a skeleton man, and you can't eat, you can't drink, you can't enjoy any of the mortal pleasures." So Cetrus is like, "Well, may as well rule my empire." and he is very hammy.
I will return to Hemri.
Grand Hierophant Hatep is the he's the leader of the Mortuary Cult, which is basically the group of wizards that before the undead cursed, they're the inventors of death magic, basically. Yeah, they harnessed it for humans, but then they got cursed. At some point, Hatep was banished. I don't remember why.
There is only
High Queen Khalida is the most extra woman in the entire Warhammer world, and she's also probably one of the few good guys.
All right.
All she really cares about is that she really wants to kill the first vampire. She's very upset about that happening. And she has big beef with her. I wonder if I can get her to trigger the voice line.
the goddess of Asaf calls. All vampires shall pay. There is
vampires.
vengeance.
No. One of her unit quotes is like, I will have Blank's head. Which is not something you can acquire in game because that character does not exist in the game yet. But yeah, she's super extra. She's really, all she really wants is for Nehekara to be left in peace. And she really hates vampires and chaos. She's got big snake motifs, in case you can't tell.
Yeah, big snake energy.
Yeah. Archon the Black is a villainous Tomb King. He...
Whoa,
So I guess
look at all the skulls on his
We
helmet.
skipped a lot. Like, you can't really talk about Tomb Kings without talking about Nagash, who was he was one of those ancient Egyptians who was obsessed with death. And he invented necromancy. Like, flat out, he is the one responsible for it. Archon the Black is his toady. I really don't want to get into Nagash because it's a huge story. But yeah, Archon the Black is a bad Tomb King. He wants the whole world to be dead, and he wants to be the boss. Or rather, he wants to be the second in command to the boss, who is Nagash, who he will probably resurrect at some point or another. The end. Archon the Black. He's actually, I don't know, I like he's got a good look. He also gets a few vampire units, which is really neat. I also think he's
Multi-class.
Yep. All right, so now we're into the Warhammer. We're half done.
In the name of Magnus.
This is Emperor Karl Franz. He's
We've made it to the Empire.
he's,
Now, if memory serves correctly, because we have in fact talked about Warhammer before, because I care about your interests.
Yep.
The Empire has the Warhammer.
He's holding it. See, that's the Warhammer.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yep.
It looks nondescript.
It's not very impressive looking, honestly. Like, it's made of like solid gold or something like that. It looks real nice. But yeah, it's just a regular old Magic Warhammer. I think it was made by the dwarves, actually. But the important part is that it was made for Sigmar, who is kind of an equivalent. He's kind of a halfway between Odin and the Christian god. He was once a man, and he united all the tribes of mankind into the Empire of Man. And at one point the dwarves gave him the Warhammer. And he ascended to godhood at some point. Emperor Karl Franz is a descendant of Sigmar. He is the current emperor of the Empire of Man. He's not terribly interesting, but he's got
a lot of feathers on his hat.
He's
and nice accessories.
I mean, he is an emperor. He is effectively the most politically powerful man in the Warhammer world. And he is, generally speaking, a good guy, but also he is a cop and a noble. So, you gotta weigh your stuff there.
I mean, in this world, like, it's just like, are you gonna kill me on sight? Like, that's kind of the rubric for
He's the guy who says endless war. So
Endless war.
moving on to Volkmar the Grim. He is, I don't know, when were the Crusades? He's one of those popes.
Well, there were a few of those.
Well, he was one of the Crusades popes. Obviously,
I like the shiny chest piece. That's kind of cool.
He's got a look. He rides. Yeah, you can't see the full thing, but he rides around on like an altar cart. Also, I never noticed before. Karl Franz.
Empire's blessings,
Wait for it to zoom in on his back. I've never noticed this before. Come on.
We got knees. We got hammer.
Sigmar is written on his back. And
Okay.
also, Sigmar is written on this guy's cart right there.
Oh yeah.
Sigmar, in case you forgot, he is the god of mankind.
Okay.
Yeah. He's Odin, Christian god.
I mean, that's a lot of mustache. I tell you what. Like
The Empire in general is real big on their mustaches. Like they got those big mustaches. They got the sideburns mustaches that go all the way like to the side of the head and up. Like there are some incredible mustaches in the Empire. Also, they're based on the whole they're German. Like all their names are German-ish sounding.
yeah, and there's a lot of like kind of like Nazi Party standard bearing imagery here.
Oh, yeah.
The red and the eagles and sun imagery.
Well, they're
I don't
not,
know.
I wouldn't call them super fascist.
I'm not saying that they're not. I'm just saying that like that seems to be a certain like aesthetically something that they seem to be sampling with the
I'm not sure.
German names and the imagery.
I'm also not sure if you've noticed, but there are a lot of skulls. Like the
There's a
Empire,
lot of skulls.
The Empire
Yeah.
loves skulls, and I'm not really. I think it's just that Games Workshop like skulls, and I put that shit on everything.
I feel like the skull would have been better on like the guy who was a high elf that had a heart on his face.
Volkmar, not Volkmar. Oh my god! I just realized there's two of the Grimms in this setting, because Altharion the Grim shares a title with this guy. Anyways, yeah, Crusader Pope. Let's move on.
You summon
Balthazar Gelt, the Lord of Metal, the Sorcerer Supreme. I can't do his voice.
He's got lots of component pouches.
He is the Supreme Patriarch of the College of Magic for the Empire.
Okay.
He has his own like location in this game, but canonically he just lives in the Imperial capital, and he's real good at magic. He's also you never see his face. He might have melted it off at some point. The fiction is unclear, but he's a wizard. He is a wizard of metal, so he is one of those folks who can just transmute gold. So he is unspeakably rich. That's one of his character traits. Anyways, Balthazar Gelt. He's
got a look.
Can we get
the nation calls.
He's the one who has the I think I showed you the video, the Welcome to a Stallion Gentleman video, where he basically says some of you will die and that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Oh yeah.
Which doesn't match up with his canonical personality, but it's a good touch for how hammy his actor is.
Never waver.
Marcus Wolfhart is a colonialist piece of shit, and that's his entire gameplay. His whole objective for his campaign is to go to the New World and colonize it and stamp out those goddamn natives. He has a
Great. Who are the natives that he's in question that he's
mostly the lizard men and some pirates.
nice. Yeah, great. Awesome.
Yep. He's got a fun campaign mechanic, but morally speaking, he's a real piece of shit.
I feel like that is something that you've said like 8 times, 10 times so far.
I don't know. I've got
inevitable in a world full of war, I guess.
I'm not sure how much
it changes people's moral code.
I'm not sure how much of my limited audience knows, but I have some real bitterness towards colonialists, and and he is a colonialist. Like
colonialism is like a real historical evil that continues to shape our social and cultural and political worldviews. So in
case you want to know, Nakai the Wanderer, if you're taking notes, is his direct opposition in that campaign.
Sweet.
So.
He's on my list of ones that I like.
Okay.
But I called him King K. Rool.
He's got big King K. Rool energy, yeah. Thorgrim Grudgebearer. We're on the dwarves, baby. Oh, sorry.
It's everything you've ever wanted.
Sorry.
Here you go.
They're not called dwarves, they're called dwarfs. That's very important.
I've changed the spelling in my notes.
Bearer is the king of the dwarves.
Holy shit, look at that beard.
Also, you might notice he is carried on a golden throne by several other dwarves. He fights on that throne with that axe. He's just a beautiful piece of character design.
He likes to read. I like a man who reads. I'm into it.
So dwarfs are big on grudges. So much so that they write them down in that big honkin' book he's got sitting in front of him. And they...
Sorry, I'm gonna mute every time that there's...
That's okay. You can mute when the cops come by. But yeah, they write down everything that has ever made them even a little bit mad in the Book of Grudges. There are some real petty grudges out there. Some of them, there is a flavor event that can only happen for the dwarves, where you are given 2 options. And they are both different wordings of don't forgive them and don't forgive them. And they have the exact same result no matter what you pick. Thorgrim Grudgebearer became the king of the dwarves, and his big thing is like, we have to... The Tome of Grudges is just too full. We gotta resolve all the grudges. It's time.
You know, I appreciate that level of petty. As a person who myself can remember something for a long time and be upset about it, I feel a certain amount of kinship with that.
So some grudges can be settled with like a blood payment. That doesn't come into this game because the only way you settle grudges in this game is with wanton violence. But yes, that's kind of his bag. God, I love the aesthetic of the dwarfs, and I love how petty and grumpy they are. Next up, this is Grombrindal, the white dwarf. There's not a whole lot of lore about him, other than he is a mythical figure among the dwarves who is actually kind of godlike in that he appears when he's needed in dwarf battles and fucks shit up when he shows up. He is my favorite dwarf character, mostly because he's not a complete dickhead. He's just kind of like, he's like a violent Tom Bombadil.
Lord of the
Billigar Ironhammer. This is our second character who is deeply involved with Karak 8 Peaks. He is the... Karak 8 Peaks is the dwarf name for Karak 8 Peaks. And he comes from a line of dwarfs that used to rule Karak 8 Peaks before it was overrun with Skaven and orcs. And his whole thing is he wants to get Karak 8 Peaks back because they just want their ancestral home back, and it's full of rats and gross orcs right now. He starts the game with a shitload of ghosts who represent his ancestors, but also they'll fight for you. It's
Our ancestors big in dwarven, like,
yes.
cosmology.
They're big on ancestor worship. It's I think different aspects of ancestor worship, like revere the ancestors, are actually points on their tech tree that give them bonuses.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, dwarves, like I said, are also they can't use magic. They're also naturally resistant to it. So they got a lot going there. There was a point I wanted to make, but I forgot it. Oh well.
The Slayer in me.
Let's talk about Slayers. So in a dwarven culture, there is honor and honor and integrity are very important to them. And making a big mistake is akin to death. So
wow.
If you
I mean, I would not survive in this world. I'm going to say it now. I think that I do not have the fortitude to survive in Warhammer.
At least in dwarven society. Also, dwarves, so unfortunately, even though they are my favorite race, like in terms of lore and crunch, they are also probably the most one of the more detestable races, in that Games Workshop really did not want to talk about women when it came to dwarves. So they have a real problematic history in that regard. But we're not going to touch on that because we're playing a video game for now. Dwarf women did eventually become more incorporated into the lore. They finally gave up the ghost, and they were like, oh, fine, dwarf women exist now. But none of them are in this game. Anyways.
I love the dragon shoulder. It's pretty cool. This guy's got a real cool aesthetic.
He is, I think...
you know who I am.
I still like Grombrundle's look more, but
I am the Slayer.
like Ungrim Iron Fist really up there. Anyway, Slayers. Ungrim Iron Fist is the first Slayer. Ungrim fucked up at some point. I can't remember what he did exactly. But he was like, all right, I'm going to kill myself. But suicide is just too cowardly. I can't redeem myself this way. So he started a subgroup of dwarves who have dishonored themselves, and they're like, I'm gonna fight big shit until I die. So they seek glorious death in battle always, and that is their whole MO, and Ungrim is the big boss of them all. He's the king of the Slayers. That's yeah, man. And yeah, that's about it.
Okay, I need to press pause because I'm out of wine.
Okay, good. I'll be
right back.
I need to refill my beer. All right. Hold on, I've got to use my transition mode here.
Okay, I'm back when you are. Hi. Hold on.
Okay. Hi.
Thank you. I needed that.
To refill your wine?
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready for the big green boys?
I mean, I think that this is going to be my favorite. I'm not going to lie. I have a thing for orcs, so I'm into it. I don't know if I have a thing for Warhammer orcs yet, but we'll get there.
What is that? Oh, I hope that's just a little flavor line that they put in that just says Grimgore is the best. So this was so that Grimgore is the best and Immortals is those were added by the modder that made this the Steel Faith Overhaul Grimmhammer to sorry, I just realized I had to update my stream name to say this was session 1. Okay.
Grimgore's Odd Boys. I mean, there's nothing not to love about all of this.
Odd Boys. You see, every orc, he talks like this. And he's real. I think the, it was like an army of footballer fans, rowdy footballer fans, was like the base concept for orcs in this universe.
But I mean, the blade has the blood still on it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is a health risk right there in and of itself. But I mean, he has very poor dental health. Do you see that cavity?
It's pretty brutal.
I'm sure that causes him a lot of sensitivity when he eats ice cream.
So greenskins are actually like a whole bunch of races, generally encompassing trolls, orcs, and goblins. They live to fight. They are fungus people, although that was not clarified until I want to say it was a plot development in Warhammer 40k, and then Games Workshop just said, yeah, they're the same. They were seeded on the planet by intergalactic spores, and they just love to fight. They live to fight. They love violence. They might have a gestalt. It's called a gestalt field, and it gives them really strong psychic powers the more you get of them together. but they're too stupid to realize they have it, which is kind of like the metering factor.
Okay.
In 40K, it's kind of like jacked up to 11, where all orc technology works because orcs believe it will work. Like if you take apart an orc gun, no part of that gun should work, but because the orc believes hard enough, the gun just works. There's a good so 1d4 Chan. I swear to God, it is probably the least problematic thing to come out of 4chan. But they have a demonstration of how orcs in 40K work, where they will be driving a truck and then the truck breaks down. They get the mech boy, who is like he's the tech guy. He'll look at the engine, hit it with his wrench a few times, and look at his superior and say, "It's broke!" And then his superior will come and look at the engine, and again, like, hit it a few times with a sword, and be like, "It's not broke, fix it." And the little guy will be like, "But I said it's broke." And the big guy will say, "Now I's the boss here, and I says fix it, so you fix it." And the little guy will hit it with his wrench a few more times and say, okay, boss, it's fixed." And then the truck will work again, and then they'll keep going.
Wow. That was a roller coaster.
That Divergent is that's very 40K. I don't think it's quite as pronounced in fantasy, but in fantasy, the more orcs you get together, the more powerful they are, and they will like also strengthen numbers, and eventually, once the horde gets big enough, they will create a war, and they will destroy everything in their path until they are either defeated or until they die of infighting. I don't know. Might have had a bit too much to drink. Somebody on my chat just said "wah," and I feel real validated right now.
Wow! Like literally spelled WAAAAGH exclamation mark.
Yes. It's usually all caps, and it's usually got way more A's than that. But they, so Grimgor Ironhide is, a specific kind of orc called a black orc. Without going too deep into things, this person just won't stop validating me. They keep typing "wah" in my chat. Grimgor is a black orc. Black orcs are genetically engineered orcs that were created by the Chaos Dwarfs, who do not feature in this game, but will probably feature in the next one. They were created to be like the most powerful orcs, the perfect servants. Extremely powerful, extremely strong, extremely hard to kill. And then the Chaos Dwarves made the mistake of thinking these guys will definitely be subservient forever. And then they weren't. And then they became the most powerful orcs to walk the land. Grimgor Ironhide is one of those orcs. He emerged from the Badlands with a group of elite black orcs called Grimgor's Odd Boys. And he's been making trouble for the old world ever since. He's been around for a while. He is probably the most relevant orc in the End Time storyline.
Okay.
Yeah. He is the best. Citation needed. Also, Greenskins have two gods: Gork, the god of cunning brutality, and Mork, the god of brutal cunning. And they're not going to come up much in this explanation, but I always feel the need to talk about them. All right. Skarsnik.
Yes, Skarsnik.
Yes.
Pointy hat.
He is probably...
So you said before, like, that the orcs call the high elves pointy heads,
yes.
but, like, I find that ironic with Skarsnik's look.
You know. Maybe he was trying to emulate them. Maybe he thought they had a good thing going. But I'm not sure.
He's got a great... Nonetheless, pro fashion choices on this. You know.
Skarsnik is probably the most... I don't want to say powerful, but he's definitely... By the time the end times come around, he's the most influential goblin. He's definitely the smartest goblin. He is the most important goblin of all the greenskins. And he got his way through a long network of backstabbing and cunning plans and shows of cunning brutality or brutal cunning. It depends on who you ask. He also has a squig, which is that big thing next to him, which is basically...
It's so cute with it's got such a dopey little tongue. I just want to squizz it. Like, it's so cute.
That's all squigs, baby.
If they made a squig stuffy, I would snug it. I'm not going to lie.
Hold on.
That is my kind of
pet
Google
right
there.
this right now, but I'm 99.9% sure a squig stuffy exists. Boom, 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 boom. Everything's running slow because I'm running so things that might... Oh. Alright, squig plushie.
No,
There's so many squig plushies.
Oh, amazing.
There is an
Etsy
subcategory for squig.
Amazing.
Anyways, yeah, Skarsnik, big goblin, very important.
Wutzeg,
the Great Green Prophet, is a savage orc, which means he comes from the Badlands.
Very culturally appropriate.
Well, I don't know. Savage orcs are like feral orcs, I guess. They don't really pull from any culture. Although this guy, I mean, you can see that mask. You know what they were going for.
I do see what they were going for. It's pretty.
Wutzeg in fiction exists to say Grimgor is in fact the best, and Grimgor can't fucking stand him. But he inspires the troops, so he keeps them around. He has his own faction in this one. And he gets bonuses on Savage. He has a lot of added bonuses in Grimmhammer. I've never played him before in this one. I appreciate that they added, like, uninhabitable climate frozen, because he is very much from the desert. Gromda-Punch is... He is a goblin that... Okay, so let's roll back a little bit because we got to talk about trolls.
You know, I appreciate the commitment to, like, body modification on this character. Triple belly button piercing, quadruple belly button piercing is something that, I tried it once, you know? I appreciate that level of commitment.
Sorry, I'm just shitting real quick. Okay, so Gromda-Punch. He is the nemesis of Altharion the Grim, and as far as I know, that's the only fiction that both those characters exist in. Gromda-Punch, trolls are characterized by the fact that they They can recover from any injury. They regenerate forever. They're that kind of monster. D&D trolls are very much that way as well. Grum de Paunch ate some troll meat, and it started regenerating in his stomach. And so his solution, when he felt real sick after eating troll meat, was to eat more. And he just kept eating and eating, and he became such a tough boy that everyone was real impressed by his super belly. Eventually his super belly, he can regenerate. I think he has regenerative properties. But his eventual thing was that he became the first and maybe the only orc to invade Ulthuan, which is the elf island. I really love his little oh, sorry, I have to point this guy out. He's got his little
his little toady who's like, he's so great! Look at this guy.
Yeah.
His circus barker partner.
But yeah, he gets pretty deep into Ulthuan, but Eltharion ultimately defeats him. The contention of his and Eltharian's campaign in this one is that Grom is trying to get back in, and he's gonna break things. Again, he is also, we cannot play his campaign because the final battle of his campaign completely eats my computer, and I can't deal with it until I get a better processor. Azag the Slaughterer. He's kind of like the proto Grimgor. He is actually, I would say every orc who has gotten their own Wa before Grimgor has been a proto Grimgor. Oh, hear that Wah? That was good. His thing is that he has a magical crown that is actually possessed by a chaos god. Or maybe it was Nagash. I think it might be Nagash, actually. And it talks to him and gives him advice. And he was a very smart orc boy. The dwarves beat him eventually. And that's kind of his whole thing. He's His story is very similar to Grumgor, except he started further north. And yeah, that's the orcs. Now we move on to a personal favorite of mine, the race that actually got me interested in Warhammer as a greater piece was the Vampire Counts. I'm not sure why it was novel to me back then that the vampires got their whole faction devoted to themselves. On the tabletop, I actually think they're kind of boring because they're just like, you get one or two powerful units and a shitload of skeletons, and that's the whole thing. And yeah, Manfred von Karstein is not.
What's a blood kiss?
So the blood kiss is in the game, they are used to awaken older vampires so that you can get special generals, basically. In fiction, the blood kiss is the canonical name for what makes you a vampire. You are given the blood kiss. When someone blood kisses you, you get the vampire. You get to the vampirism. You become the Edward Cullen. Manfred von Karstein sucks. He is arguably the reason the Warhammer world ended in the end times. But as far as we're because let's roll back. He killed this guy. I keep going to Kalita for some reason. Balthazar Guilt.
Yes.
In the middle of a world-saving magical ritual. But yeah, he's a backstabbing, two-timing bastard.
I'll take
just a real piece of shit. He would not exist if it weren't for Vlad von Karstein, but we'll get to him eventually. Yeah, he's just kind of a big backstabby vampire dude. There's a lot more lore than that, but I don't care to know it because 90% of the lore I know is from the end times, which is not canonical in this. Helman Gorst is Manfred von Karstein's buddy. The end. That's it. That's all the lore he gets. Like I've tried. He is like he's got some backstory. Like he was a noble and he was raised from the dead. But yeah, like it's not important. He's a necromancer. I have to shout out like a really specific. There's a YouTuber I follow called Mandalore Gaming who does gaming reviews, and he did a whole review of this game. He got to the part with Helman Gorst, and he was like, "Helman Gorst," and then there's just like audio cuts for a second, and then you hear like thump 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 thump, and then you hear like the pages of a book turning. And he says, and then it cuts to the next faction. Because there's just nothing about Helman Gorst. Anyways, Vladron Karstein is the real important vampire. He is the first powerful vampire, like in terms of political power in the old world of the Warhammer world. Sylvania, the place where he lives and where Manfred lives, it turns out, is actually a county within the Empire, and for a long time he did not always look like this, but I
think it was vampires. That's generally a general rule, I would say.
So it was not known that he was a vampire for a very long time until he decided he wanted to become the Emperor and started killing everybody. But yeah, he was the first vampire in the Empire. Or rather the first prominent vampire, I guess. And he killed his way to the top, lots of political maneuverings, and eventually became a count. Did the whole vampire thing of like pretending he was more than one person over the line of a succession. And he is married to Queen Isabella von Karstein, who was a mortal woman, who he married for political pull. But then it turns out they were made for each other, and they both became genocidal maniacs together. And isn't it heartwarming?
That is such a beautiful love story, you know. I don't think we tell those kinds of stories enough in our society.
They're the true power couple of the Warhammer universe. Like they really go at it. Heinrich Kemmler actually predates. I want to say he predates Manfred. But in the early days of Warhammer, look at his hat, look at that pointy hat.
I mean, that's a lot of skull. Yeah, there's just so many different skulls on his body.
I love his outfit. So anyways, Heinrich Kemmler was a human. He was the son of a human noble family. Learned necromancy, la-di-da-di-da. Wanted to defeat death. Became a necromancer and arguably became one of the most powerful necromancers in the Warhammer world. He lives in the mountains. He has an undead buddy named Krell, who he just summons into battle. And he just wants the world to be his undead puppets. And he may have been an inspiration for a specific character I have made in the Dungeons and Dragons.
Whose name is Puppet?
Yes. None of my stream audience know who that is, though.
I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. I get you.
And that's it for the vampires. It should be pointed out that Heinrich Kemmler is not actually a vampire. He is a mortal man.
He just likes skulls.
Mm-hmm. He starts, I should say, since it's relevant to you and what little fiction you know of this universe, he starts in Castle Drachenfels.
I like that, like his outfit's so great, because, like, you got, like, the hands on his chest, like, pulling on his nipple rings.
Just noticed that.
I feel like it's eternal nipple ring pulling, which, you know, I can get behind. But, like, I think the skin face thing is a lot.
Skin face thing?
Yeah, like on his like frock, there's like a skin face.
Oh, you mean this? Oh yes, his dress made of human faces. Yep.
Yeah, that's the one.
He's got big serial killer energy. Anyways, let's move on to Norska.
Corners.
They're kind of a sub-faction of Chaos. They're the humans who live north of the Empire.
Okay, they're the Vikings.
They are just Vikings. Vikings who really love Chaos. Wulfric the God, he's got so much. Wulfric the Wanderer is the reason I know what a Blood Eagle is. Which is I just realized he's pulling his sword out of a giant's head.
Yeah, and he's got like a whole body on his back. Like a full skeleton.
He does. Yeah.
I mean, this is just. I mean, okay, never mind. I'm not going to say it out loud. It would sound stupid. I'm gonna just keep that to myself.
You can say it if you want.
I'm good.
Okay. Wulfric. God, what are the cliff notes on Wulfric? He worshipped the Chaos Gods. He devoted himself to a Chaos God. He fucked up. The Chaos Gods were like, "We're gonna punish you to serve us forever." Basically, you gotta conquer all the stuff. I should remind my chat that Emily is not actually in chat, so she cannot see what you're saying. But anyways, they really my one audience member really wants you to say the thing.
What do I need to say?
The thing that you were like, no, I shouldn't say it.
Oh.
Can you say it on Twitch? Is it a racial slur?
I don't know. I feel like all of these characters are so extra that it doesn't like. Anyway, I know someone who would love this character.
Oh.
Just the aesthetic.
Okay. He is the most Viking of the characters.
Yeah, he's Daddy Viking for sure.
Anyways, so he was cursed to serve the Chaos Gods and forever, basically, until oh God, there's so much I can't remember most of it.
I should say that, like, I'm aware that there are things I can and can't say on Twitch, like, generally, and like I have a very foul mouth, and so I'm just trying to.
I'm pretty sure
I'm pretty
sure my stream is rated 18+, which means you can cuss as much as you want.
All right, well, this guy looks like he'd be a great fuck. That wasn't what I was gonna say, but it's what I said. There you have it.
I'm not sure you'd want to fuck with anyone who is aligned with Chaos.
I think that maybe that means you don't know me very
well. Okay. Anyways. He is cursed to wander the world and do lots of shit for the Chaos Gods. There's a lot. Yeah, he just wants to serve Chaos and be Chaos's boy. Unfortunately, he does not get to be Chaos's boy because Chaos's boy will come a little bit later. Throg, the king of the trolls, the man troll who arguably got.
Did he just smell that man's crotch?
Maybe. I don't know. He got done real dirty by Total Warhammer. Because he's actually supposed to be incredibly intelligent, but they just made him like a caveman, basically. He steps on this guy eventually and eats him. But yeah, he's a big main troll. He becomes kind of a D&D archetype of the big monster that every adventurer wants to slay, and kills all of them. Also, you might notice from his model, he's got a whole lot of mouths everywhere. Because
he's got like on his stomach. Is that?
Yep, and on his side right there, he's got multiple mouths on his stomach. But he is horribly mutated by chaos.
Wrong too. Oh, choking on wine.
Yeah, please don't choke. Oh wait.
Oh boy, I'm muting because this is out of control.
I'll give you a hot second while I drink more cider. Oh, I just realized they reworked Throg. His voice acting may not have changed, but his game mechanics appear to. Fighting enemies gives them a chance to understand their strengths and use their advantages as his own. That's an interesting reworking of his character.
Extract aspects.
Yeah.
That's a Critical Role joke. I know that that's not something that you're into.
No, I don't watch a lot of Critical Role. Anyway, Throg, big mean troll. Very intelligent. He is my favorite of the two Norskin characters. Like Wolfric has a good aesthetic and all, but I don't know. I got a soft spot for Monster Man. Bretonia. Everyone here is aggressively French. They're all I'm
pretty sure that the vampire Lestat's last name was Leoncourt.
It's just French for Lionheart.
Yes, that's why Lestat is very so. Oh well, this is not an Anne Rice stream, so I will stop.
I mean, you can
mind.
talk about Anne Rice if you want. We got lots of time.
So, have you ever seen Interview with a Vampire? The one with like Brad Pitt.
I haven't
and
seen
Tom Cruise?
any Anne Rice related fiction. Actually,
Oh man,
I only know it by proxy.
I feel like I've just learned something that I can teach you drunkenly. So that is very happy for
All
me.
right,
But also, whenever
I feel like having a just chat stream, you will explain the Rice verse to me.
So Tom Cruise plays Lestat in Interview with a Vampire, which is maybe the most famous movie from that lore.
I'm familiar with the existence of that movie.
And like Tom Cruise like studied big cats in his studying for the role because Lestat is so he's like a predator. He's
Sure.
So it's just all in the name. So whenever I say Lancourt, I'm like, oh, this is a predator. This is like I can't help but adopt the metaphor of the lion. So in any case.
Okay. Anyways, yeah.
I'm a real fucked up Arthur,
So yeah. Bretonia is. What if King Arthur but French is their whole deal?
Such a reworking.
The Lady of the Lake is even a playable character. She's called the Fey Enchantress, but she basically emerges from lakes, offering people a cup, and then they drink and they become Superman. I'm gonna crib from Mandalore Gaming here, but they are Superman, but with the power of the Holy Spirit.
Champion of the lady.
So they're real big on religion, and I do know. Yes, person in chat. I do know her real identity, but that's end time stuff, so we're not talking about it. Luwin Leoncourt is the current king of Bretonia. He's King Arthur. The end.
Blessings of
Alberic de Bordelot is a man who appeared in a source book. He was mentioned a couple times in some source books, and Creative Assembly was like, fuck it, let's make a character.
And he smells of elderflowers?
He might smell of elderflowers. He's notable in that he worships Manon, who is kind of the human god of the sea, which is very, very unusual for Bretonians because they usually they worship the lady. But he worships both the lady and Manon.
Does the lady have like a name, or is she just?
She's the Fey Enchantress. She is.
Oh, that's the lady.
Yes. Also, she's one of the elven gods. Is the woo twist.
You can play as the lady.
You can play as the lady.
Oh, wow.
But then you don't.
Wow.
Then you don't get the sheer joy that comes from your characters just shouting "For the lady." All right.
I will never.
My girl, my waifu, repulsed Leoness. In this game, she is literally leading the Crusades, which I am not down with. But also, she is an uplifted peasant, who was called by the lady about 100 years before Llewyn Leoncor was born, to save Bretonia. As some have noted, she is a Joan of Arc allegory.
Yeah, that's my name for her in my little notes here is Joan of Arc.
Yeah. All right. That's a Bretonia. I love Bretonia. In terms of like lore and just they're so hammy and it's beautiful and I love it.
I'm guessing that they are big like cavalry situation.
They're all about knights. So all of your like on foot infantry are peasants, like explicitly peasants, in that you have a certain number of peasants that you can have be infantry at any given time, and your economy will suffer if you employ too many peasants. And then all of your actual like noble cavalry units are mounted on horses, and they all have like diverse livery. They are, they're really, they're fun. I'm not sure if they were given as much love in the tabletop, but we already talked about the tabletop, so we're gonna jump on. So, ironically, even though the Wood Elves were the first faction I ever heard of, I don't actually know a whole lot about them. Orion is a Wood Elf. He has some type of deity status. I think he's supposed to be a demigod of some sort, but he was once an elf, and he leads the wild hunt, and
he's very satyr-ish.
He just wants people to stay the fuck out of his forest.
I mean, fair, really. Like, that is an understandable thing. People are shitty in forests.
I should probably mention, Wood Elves have this bad habit of leaving the forest and kidnapping people to become slaves, maybe?
Okay, alright. Good caveat. Good caveat.
Explicitly, Orion's faction, the Wild Hunt, is when they go out and steal people. Durthu is just a tree man. He just wants...
oh my gosh, he's so cute!
He also wants people...
look at him step on those. Oh.
He also wants people to stay the fuck out of his forest, especially the dwarves, apparently, according to his stat bonuses. I don't actually know a whole lot about it, Durthu, but there is a meme within the total Warhammer community where people call him Tree Hitler, where he will sit in his forest quietly until he decides, no, not anymore, not today, bruv, and he will just come out of his forest and kill everybody. Hence Tree Hitler. Because I guess the Wood Elves are not the original inhabitants of Athel-Loren, the big forest that the Wood Elves live in. And some of them, like who we will get to in a bit, do not agree with the idea of co-inhabiting with fleshy Wood Elf people. Durthu is not one of those people. But he does not like other fleshlings coming into his forest. Boom! The heralds of Alariel, Nastra, and Arahan. No, you're not reading that incorrectly. It's 2 characters in a single unit. They're pretty cool. They might have been one person at some point, split into 2 aspects. They're kind of like the Metatron of the Wood Elf goddess. who is named, is it Alariel? Or maybe it's Ariel. It's either Alariel or Ariel. I can't remember which. But she is Orion's old flame. And she is the queen of the wood elves, effectively. And yeah, these two are her. It says right there, Ariel is her name. God, I'm so fucking stupid. Because Alariel, so
Are the heralds of what?
it's really confusing because
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a character earlier
Alariel.
that's name is
Yeah.
L'Oreal. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, they are the heralds of Ariel, as said in their faction name. But yeah, they speak for her more or less. They are the most. Who else was added? Oh yeah, they and Throt the Unclean are the most recently added characters in the campaign. So yeah, they're. I've played them a couple times. They're pretty cool. They fight with each other a lot, which is really cute. Trika is a tree lady who hates not tree people. She sure is mad at wood elves. And her whole reason for being is, I told you about her before.
I think I actually like one night while you were playing, I was just hanging out. Was like you were streaming it.
Yeah, no, she might. She just.
And I was like, oh my god, the Ents, they're so cool. And you were like, they are so evil.
These ones fucking hate fleshy people. And their whole bag is like, man, I sure gotta get those fucking flesh bags out of my forest. And yeah, it doesn't say here. She gets a quest for a special hero who is like the original treant, like get these people out of my forest kind of dudes. But he will join her army after a while. Sorry, I'm just belching. Trying not to do it straight into my mic. Alright, we're almost done. We're so close.
Sweet. I have picked favorites and named them. There's too many favorites, so I'll have to I'll go through after we're done and I'll read the names and then I'll be like, okay, I think these are the two that I want.
We'll trim it down. We've been at this for like 2.5 hours. But if anyone is still watching this bullshit, I should add this was inspired by a conversation that Emily and I had a while back where we both got drunk and I told her entirely from memory the lore of Coheed and Cambria, and I think we spent it must have been 2 hours.
It was more than that.
It was a while. It was a minute.
It was a drunken okay, here's the first Coheed and Cambria album. I think we listened to a bunch of songs too.
I put on a few songs for us, yeah.
There's just entire things that I miss, and then there's so much of it that I don't want to start because it's daunting to I've never seen Breaking Bad, and everyone's like, you're gonna love Breaking Bad, and I'm like, I probably would really like it, but also it's so many seasons. I can't. Or I'm really big on paranormal, especially YA stuff. Mm-hmm. And I've never seen Supernatural. And I've seen a couple of episodes from the first season of Supernatural. I love that show.
I watched the first season. It's pretty good.
But it has such a huge following, and people will be like, "Oh, you love Buffy, you love this, you love that, you'll love you'll love oh boy, the liquor. What are we talking about? Supernatural. You love Supernatural, but there's too many seasons. I can't now. It's too much.
I fell off of it for the exact same reason. I finished the first season. I think me and my ex-girlfriend rented the first season and watched all of it in one go, and then we're like, we're gonna keep watching this, and then we just didn't.
I appreciate the fandoms And I appreciate that, like, when people tell me, like, you would probably really like this, that they're probably right. I would really enjoy it, but I really appreciate when people are like, hey, can I just give you the Coles Notes version of this? I'm like, yes, please. Do this labor for me.
All right, let's talk about the Warriors of Chaos. We're almost done. We're so close. We're so close to actually playing the game.
Amazing.
The Warriors of Chaos are not very fleshed out in this particular game. They're all a single monolith faction. They all start at the same spot. Their whole objective is to burn the world down, because that's what Chaos wants, really. Archaon, the Ever-Chosen, was a man, and then he was really devoted to Sigmar, and then he got real sad about it, and then he was like, fuck it, I'm gonna destroy the world. So he went on he did a bunch of trials for the Chaos Gods. Fuck, I have to explain the Chaos Gods. Shit.
Do you?
Yeah, in order to understand. I should have explained them when I got to Norska, but they don't play into the Norskin faction as much. So I guess I got to explain them now. There are 4 Chaos Gods. In Age of Sigmar, there are 5. Because the Skaven succeed in getting the Great Horn Rat promoted to Chaos God. But that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about the 4 Chaos Gods as they exist in this fiction, because we are playing SFO Grimmhammer, which does incorporate the 4 different Chaos Gods. Okay, Khorne, very straightforward. He is the god of war, the god of destruction, the god of death. Kill everything, violence. I love it. I love it. He is the
He's the Ares.
He is the blood god. His motto is blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne, corn for the cornflakes.
What?
Sorry, it's milk for the cornflakes, but I'm drunk enough to fuck up the joke.
It landed for me.
But yeah, he's the god of war. He likes violence. Well, he's very easy to move past. Let's talk about God damn it. It's so much. The Chaos Gods are like foundational to the Warhammer universe. Because so much happens because they exist. And they are arguably the source for like 99.9% of the Warhammer world's woes. And they still exist in Warhammer 40k, which is at a universal level. But I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to talk about Warhammer 40k. When we get to my Warhammer 40k Gladius Relics of War playthrough, maybe we'll talk about the Warhammer 40k universe. Anyway,
I like the third eye imagery on this guy. Very cool.
It is pretty cool. I think that's actually so that's okay. Fine. Let's talk about Tzeentch.
Okay, so it's Khorne, ceviche.
All right, cool. All right, we'll go with
Khorne,
that.
ceviche. What's next?
So Tzeentch is the Lord of Change. His symbol is the raven, and he has, of course, which came first? The game, A Song of Ice and Fire or Warhammer Fantasy? I'm not sure which, but he's got a 3-eyed raven motif going on. But he is the Lord of Change, and like he's probably the most chaotic of the Chaos Gods, in that like he just wants things to not stay the same. He wants to disrupt the status quo. He's probably the Chaos God that you could most have a beer with. That's not true. Slanesh is probably that one, but we'll get to him /her/it/they eventually. But yeah, fucking ceviche just wants the world to be changing all the time. He is the primary chaos god in Warhammer Age of Reckoning, like the MMO, which is the easiest to be morally down with. He's also real big on long-term plans that turn out just as planned in the end.
Puppet Master.
Yes. Yeah, he's great.
Like, you think that you're done, but then he pulls the rug out from under you and chaos reigns.
When Warhammer 3 comes out, I'm gonna have to explain this all over again. Because the demons of chaos are a faction in that one now too. All right, let's move on to everyone. He is unusually popular, but Nurgle is the Plague Father. He is the god of disease, first and foremost. There's other things too. It really bugs me because they just did the big teasers for Total Warhammer 3. And his was actually pretty clever. But yeah, his demons and followers are all about disease. They're what's the guy from Dune? Harkonnen? The
Baron Harkonnen.
Yeah, he is like Papa Nurgle, like Baron Harkonnen would be super down with Nurgle. He's like, oh, I collect diseases. It's so great. It's beautiful. Delicious. I love it. But yeah, that's his bag. And finally, Slaanesh, who is the god / goddess / god they of omnisex and pleasure and also pain. Just basically, Slaanesh is all about the excess of emotions, including pain, which is apparently an emotion now.
I mean, so that comes directly from that tracks for me with like affect theory stuff. So, in terms of like feeling and impact, I'm gonna stop right there. I'm gonna this is not an affect theory Twitch feed, so.
But yeah, that's Slaanesh's whole bag. Yeah, they're all also rape. That's where most of the rape comes from in the Warhammer stuff. So we got that out of the way. All right, good. Archaon was once a devotee of Sigmar, and at some point, I don't remember exactly what happened to him, but he basically lost his faith and decided and became the ultimate nihilist and said, all right, burn it all down, and devoted himself to the Chaos Gods and did a bunch of rituals to become the Ever-Chosen. As you can see here, it's his title. Sure is great.
Did you ever play Tales of Vesperia?
I did. I never finished it, though.
I feel like this is Yuri's future, to be honest with you.
I can see that. I could see a big mop of black hair like hidden under that helmet. Also, I think he's got the best aesthetic of the Chaos characters. Anyways, let's move on.
I am Mountain God.
Kolek Suneater is a really, really big centaur guy. Dragon ogres are a thing. I don't know much about them. All I know is he was a very serious chaos threat at some point in the earlier stages of Warhammer. Now he's a general for the Chaos Gods, and he's he's got a really boring character design. If I'm being
he just breathes.
honest.
Like, is that his whole character, that he just stands and breathes?
I mean, he smashes things. He's like the Suneater thing is an exaggeration. I think in lore he is like the largest single entity that isn't like a demon, like that isn't a god in the Warhammer universe. He's shrunk down considerably because you can.
But he's kind of like a Goliath figure.
He's very big, and he leaves the Dragon Ogres, who are also very big. And yeah, I don't know much about his backstory except that he worships chaos. Prince Fuckboy the Magnificent. He is a worshipper of Slaanesh. Slaanesh. There's 2 A's in Slaanesh. He is. His cutscene's so boring. He is a big vain fuckboy who really, really loves himself.
And opals, apparently.
his character. I've seen a more faithful character model to what he's supposed to look
Why
like.
would there be a gap there in his armor?
So he can fuck real quickly. Let's be perfectly honest. But so it's not reflected well in his character design, but he is very vain. His shield is actually a mirror so that he can point it at himself and admire how fucking hot he is all the time. He is one of the few chaos warlords who does not look like a horrible mutated monster. Because he is so devoted to himself. It's like, I'm so beautiful. I'm so wonderful. And he, so my favorite part of his lore is that he decides to invade Elthwan because he thinks the high elves are too pretty, and he wants to be the prettiest man in the world.
Mirror on the wall.
He penetrates pretty deep into Ulthuan. Like, he makes a serious commitment. And he almost, like, topples them. But then at a certain point, he gets very distracted by his own beauty. And he remembers, like, a wine merchant who pissed him off once. And he just leaves.
I would like to no longer look at his like groin crack. Like maybe we should just go to a different character.
Anyways, that's Sigvald the Magnificent. I think his story is real funny because it's really fucking stupid.
I mean, it sounds very mythological, you know.
All right, so here are the Beastmen. I don't own them.
We're not gonna play him.
He's a beast man. He's a beast man. He's a beast man. They all look the same. They're all boring. Their faction mechanics sucks, and I'll probably never play them. The end. All right.
Okay.
I need.
So here are my favorites from each.
I need to pee so bad.
Okay.
So we're gonna take a quick break, and then we're gonna come back to this.
All right. I'm going to tell you who my favorites are when we come back.
All right. Sounds good. Okay.
Welcome back.
Thank you. I have emptied a third of a bottle of wine into this wine glass. So I think I'm ready to go. In the grand tradition of me starting Total Warhammer 2 campaigns on stream, I am too drunk to competently play Total Warhammer. That's great.
I think that starting a campaign next time is a good call.
I mean, I could play right now.
Okay.
The opening rounds of Total Warhammer campaigns are pretty easy. Like they set you up with early battles that are very easy to win.
Okay.
All right.
So I'm gonna say each faction.
All right.
And then I'll tell you, I've either one or two from each one that I have a name for. We'll see how I did.
Okay.
Okay. So from the High Elves, I like Power Bottom Mage and Nature Girl.
Okay, Power Bottom Mage is Teclis.
We can achieve much.
And Nature Girl is Alariel.
The Everqueen.
All right.
Well, you
from
don't
the
like
Lizard
my good emo boy Alethanar.
I mean, I like him, but I would be just distracted the whole time.
This world.
All right, next.
needs me.
From Lizardmen, I like Beefy Boy Who Loves Dragos.
Definitely
And King K.
Kroggar.
Rool. Yeah.
And Nakai, okay.
Yeah. From the Dark Elves, I liked Cthulhu Face and Purple Rain.
So Lokier and Malice Darkblade.
I mean, so I'm gonna put on Malice Darkblade on the short list.
Okay. Malice Darkblade has a really difficult starting position, but I'm willing
I like to make things easy for you.
give
You
him
know
a
this
shot.
about me.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So from is it Skaven?
Skaven are the.
I
yeah.
liked Ninja Rat and Clawboy Frankenstein.
So Deathmaster Snitch and Throt the Unclean.
Okay.
I've never played as
from the
Throt before,
Vampirates,
so.
I liked Ursula.
Madam Captain.
Siloster Direfin, yep.
Yeah. From the Undead Pirates, I like both I called them both BSE, but one of them is Big Snake Energy and one of them is Big Skull Energy.
You mean High Queen Khalida and Archon the Black?
I think those are them.
Okay. Alright. Also, you called them undead pirates, not undead Egyptians.
Oh, wow. They're all, I mean, so I have vampires and then I have undead Egyptians. I just can't read because I've at this point consumed more wine than a human should on a Thursday night, but no,
okay,
going back now.
I've got the day off tomorrow, so that's what we're running with here.
I've got the day off every day. Well, hello, COVID.
It's my Friday, baby.
From the Empire.
Yeah.
I like Nicholas Flamel, and yeah, that was it.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
The Alchemist.
Balthazar
yeah,
Guild.
the guy who likes Goldfinger.
He's pretty good.
From the Dwarfs. Emphasis on the F.
Yep.
I like Bleached Pompadour and Gingerbeard.
So I know one of those is Ungrim. Bleached Pompadour is Grumble.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's Bleached Pompadour.
Alright.
From the Orcs, I liked Daddy Ardboy.
Alright, Grimgore, yeah.
Just a second, I'm just writing some things down.
Don't you mean the one true git?
Yeah, I do. That's why I named him Daddy Ardboy. From the... Oh, geez. These are the vampire counts.
Yeah.
I like No Nose, No Problems and Skin Frock.
So Vlad von Karstein and Heinrich Kemmler.
Yeah, those neck.
I should mention that Heinrich Kemmler is the character I've started the most campaigns with and failed. Like, he starts in a real tough spot. Did you like anyone from the Vikings?
Yeah, I liked Misunderstood Emo Troll.
Okay. Alright. How about from the devotees to the lady?
Yeah, so I like Joan of Arc and the Lady.
Okay. Do you
and then
sorry, did you like actual the lady?
Wishes the grave.
yeah,
Okay.
yes. And then Joan of Arc
Okay.
I will never.
from Bretonnia.
Okay.
And then from the Wood Elves, I liked Xenophobia and Twincest.
Xenophobia and could be Drika or Durthu. I'm not.
I meant Drika.
Okay. Is it incest if they're basically the same person in two different bodies?
I don't know. I mean, it's genetically related.
That's the
I was getting
implication of
some
the characters.
vibes. All I'm saying.
Wild as fur.
And then from Chaos, I like Nega He-Man.
For chaos.
Don't you mean Prince Fuckboy the Magnificent?
So going through that list, I mean, I love all of those characters. There's so many good characters. They're just so like everyone in this game is like a lot.
Warhammer Fantasy is a lot. Someday I'm going to tell you about Warhammer 40k, and you're like, "Wow, I thought it would be all right," and then you got. Anyways, yep.
Okay, so from that list of my favorites, of the ones that you just went through, I have a short list of 4.
Okay.
Between I made a I did half of them in like their actual names and half of them in the names I made for them.
That's okay. Well, we'll see if I can remember the names you made for them.
Well, no, I have the names I made for them. I'll say the names that I made for them. Okay, so I have it. Oh no, that's not him. That's not him. I think. Oh shit! I think it was Purple Rain. Okay, so Purple Rain, Gingerbeard, Daddy Ardboy, or Nega He-Man. Those would be my choices for starting a campaign with.
All right. So yeah, Malice Darkblade, Ungrim Iron Fist,
my slayer oath.
Grimgore,
and
Prince Maleficent.
Prince Fuckboy the Magnificent.
Yeah, those
I
would be the
refuse
4
to
that
call
I
him
think
by
would
his
be
actual
fun to
name.
play.
All right. How do you want to determine which one?
I don't
you
know.
play?
Like, should I roll a d4?
You could do that if you want. Or I could describe their play styles, and you could just figure out which one you find the most interesting.
I mean, do any of those like characters you're like, I don't want to play any of those? Because like, I don't want to make you play a game that you don't want to play.
I like. Well, hold on. No, I like all 3 of those characters. Like, I like dwarves by default. Dwarfs.
Son of
Dark elves have a playstyle that really appeals to me because it's very aggressive. And also, if we're playing on Mortal Empires, they start in a position that's less miserable than a lot of other dark elves, or than the Vortex campaign.
I just don't know that I want to be thirsty for someone that's evil. Like, it's hard for me morally.
They do have like slaves are part of their economy, which is a problem.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. Fantasy is a problem.
All right, let's cut Malice Darkblade because we don't want to deal with slaves.
No, I don't want to cut him though.
We have to pick somehow.
But they're all so great. It's true. Okay,
But two
let's
of them-
choose
two
not
of-
slavery.
Okay.
Let's take a real stand
So
here. And say not
that cuts us down. Oh, they're conveniently right next to each other on the character select list. So we got Ungrim Iron Fist, and we got
What a beard! I mean,
Grimgore Ironhide. I mean, it's a dwarf.
Okay.
It's a the beard is a dwarf thing.
yeah, I know, but that's a special beard.
Let's talk about lore for a second. There is a war that occurred between like ages ago. It's in the current canon. It's resolved, but way back when, there was a disagreement between. Oh, actually, I want to say that it was actually engineered by Malekith. But there was a war between the High Elves and the dwarfs, in which a High Elf was slighted by a dwarf and cut off his beard and displayed it, which caused a decades-long war called the War of the Beard. And yeah, cutting off a dwarf's beard is sacrilegious.
Yeah.
That is, and that's not a joke. That is in the lore of the universe.
The hair come out the face.
Yes.
Why not?
Mm-hmm. So yes. Yeah, but we're between Grimgore and Ungrim, who are like diametrically opposed.
You don't want to play Nega He-Man?
So slaves are not a part of their game mechanics, but Warriors of Chaos definitely take slaves.
I mean, they're evil.
They're very evil.
Okay. You don't want to be evil. I get it.
I mean, I can be evil. So, so if we want to take consideration like the level of,
I'm gonna just say right now, I want to play Daddy Ardboy. I think that's just the decision. I'm gonna,
right.
like, is that okay?
Yep,
Do you hate playing that character?
No, I love Grimgore.
Okay, I want to play Grimgore Ironhide. That's who I want to play.
Here we go. This is it. This is.
Did I make a good decision?
Yep, we have officially. This is it. We're committed now. We have to play until I lose. Grimgore Ironhide could not let an insult stand. Gorfang Rotgut, master of Black Crag, had been slagging him off. So the Black Orc, bored with slaying things on the Red Iron Mountain anyway, strode through the World's Edge Mountains, killing many stunties as he went. It didn't take long.
I can read it with my eyeballs, just so you know.
But I could read it with the orc voice.
You can, and you're doing so good, and you can continue. I just wanted you to know that if it was killing your voice, I'm here.
I mean, I don't feel pain anymore, is where I'm at in this stream.
All right, then let's start with stunties.
I'm pretty sure the loading screen is going to close in like a second here, because I've got this installed on my SSD. Oh. Now I have to explain game mechanics to you. I probably could have finished that last little bit. Always seems to take the longest. So, after we're done this Total War 3 Kingdoms, do you want me to tell you the entire story of the...
Is yours, my brutal lord. The Badlands beyond lay open for conquest. This area is dominated by tribes of inferior greenskins. On the plains to the west, Rotgut's Red Fangs mass against you, angry at the loss of their stronghold. Proving your utter superiority over Gorfang should be your first calling.
Can't see it, but I'm doing a dumb little dance right now while we wait out the narrative.
I'm trying to read the things but it's white on like moving texture on the bottom half of it.
Well, he is narrating, so you could turn up the volume on the stream a little bit.
I can't hear him talking.
Oh.
Yeah. Maybe it's a Discord stream? It's muted? I think you have the mute on. Your stream. Like the little muted sign is on.
You might have muted me by accident, or muted the stream by accident.
Oh yeah, I did. Okay, so now I hear lots of things.
Okay. Good. This campaign's gonna be full of whoa for you to hear.
Amazing.
Oh shit! I have to. Oh fuck. Oh. I have to explain so much to you. Okay, so this is a settlement. Settlements are a pivotal part of the Total War single-player campaign. In settlements, as you can see, Black Crag is a major settlement because it has a whole lot of building slots. This is the main settlement building, so the more I build this up, the more settlement slots I'll have to build in.
Okay.
This is my barracks. This allows me to recruit goblins and orc boys. Okay, let's start from the left. Okay. These are landmarks. Obviously, I can't... So, you'll see the line here. Below the line is buildings I can access for building. Above the line are buildings I need a higher settlement level. Fuck. Above the line are buildings I need a higher settlement level to build. So, if I wanted to build the big fort, I would need a settlement level 4. If I want to build Dork's Rock.
You're dying right now because you have to say the word. Like sometimes there's words that you just read and you're like, oh, those are words. And then you have to say them out loud and you're like, oh no.
Can you read the flavor text on the screen?
Cannot build. Must upgrade your main settlement chain building list. Oh, I see underneath the landmark. All the best places are ones you've nicked from other races and then made your own by leaving piles of poo and shiny stuff everywhere. I mean, this is basically how I live my life. Like, immortals.
But yeah.
At the bottom there.
Which part?
Immortals.
Yeah, that's unique to the Grimmhammer mod that I've installed. Those don't exist in regular. I wonder if I start with a unit of those actually.
Ready for murdering.
I do not start with a unit of the Immortals. Ugh, okay. That's the first settlement chain. The second chain, also specific to region, are resource buildings. Why do we start with orcs? Fuck me. Resource buildings. So orcs can't trade for obvious reasons. They're a bit too fighty.
Aggro?
They're a bit too fighty for trade. But yeah, resource.
It would take a special merchant.
Resource
to
buildings.
tap this market.
Resource buildings usually give you a resource, but in orc campaign they just give you raw income. And in this mod, they actually lower your obedience, which is really funny. So I guess we won't get deep into those mechanics. These are military recruitment buildings. It kind of speaks for itself. This will allow us to recruit specific units. Next is military support. This provides upgrades and also it gives us
So better troops.
Yeah, better.
It's like a research tree for upgrading your troops.
In this case, there's actually a lot of units tied to these.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure with outside of this might actually be called advanced military in the vanilla game. So
you're not playing the vanilla game? We started spicy?
I told you we're playing the Steel Faith Overhaul Steel Faith Overhaul Grimmhammer mod, which makes a lot of more lore relevant things and renames a bunch of stuff. It provides a little extra images, like this image right here of the troll cave is not in the base game. It's usually just these weird bone/jaw things. But yeah, I think this is called advanced military in the base game. All the boring stuff that makes our boys better. But some of these buildings also allow us to recruit special units from the military recruitment branch.
Sounds good.
Okay, this is defense. There's not a whole bunch for this settlement, but it usually provides you. So in this case, this one specifically, the rat trapper is good, great. This is I want to say in the base game. This is called like underway patrols or something like that. But they redid it in this mod to make it a lot truer to Warhammer. So it's rat trappers with a Z, which is very you're not super into this universe, but the Zeds are very important to orc culture apparently. But yeah, this basically gives you an advantage on Skaven sneaking into your city. But yeah.
Which is, I assume, something that he wants to do.
It's not,
is it like you're trying to defeat the local people before you go abroad?
No, it's... Skaven have a mechanic called Undercity that lets them basically build a settlement underneath your settlement. And if they can get it far enough, they can actually spawn an army on your location. So that's like a unique mechanic for Skaven. But yeah, they put these in the game when Skaven were introduced to it, so that you could directly counter Skaven. But yeah, normally there is another branch on this that lets you build walls and recruit a garrison, basically, to protect your settlement. But yeah, that's because this is a capital, that's not there. Infrastructure is exactly what you think it is. This boosts the income I get. This is a new building chain for the mod. It increases my casualty replenishment rate while I'm within the borders, and also my upkeep. So I pay less for units that are in the area, and growth. So growth is important because growth lets you build higher level tiers. You need to reach a certain amount of growth. You can see it on... I wish I could point, but I can't lock this in place. But on the
just ping it, it's fine.
I can't. On the far left-hand side of the screen, you see where it says growth, and it says 0 out of 600.
Yes.
Plus 365.
Yes.
So yeah, my settlement kind of levels up, and I can build higher level buildings when I reach that growth level.
How is it different from the main building? Doesn't the main building unlock your ability to build other things?
No, I mean growth is what gets my ability. So right now you can see there's a lot. I can't build up to level 2. Growth will allow me to build up to that level. A lot like faster. Like there's an innate growth to every settlement, but this particular building will allow me to increase the speed of that growth. Get it? Okay. You get it? You understand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I 100%. I'm clear as mud. Got
it. This is also
Humi pens? Yeah. Are those pens for human slaves?
Yes.
So we ended up playing slavery anyway.
Oh well. They usually eat the humies, in my experience, but.
Oh, all right. Well, that's better.
I'm looking at the icons for this, and I'm pretty sure the implication is that yes, you eat the humies. You farm them like cattle. Anyways, these increase your
Yeah, as a snack for later.
these increase your so the main reason you want to get these is they increase your obedience, which in the vanilla game is called public order. But it's on brand for orcs because you want to make sure that obey the boss is the kind of the base idea here. They basically it means the local populace is happier, and therefore they do not rebel against you, which is we might see it later, but it is a legitimate concern in this game, where whole armies will spawn if your obedience is low enough, or your public order in certain factions. This is another generic growth building. I want to say this was obedience. Like, this was the obedience building chain in the vanilla game.
Okay.
So we'll pass over that. But in this one, it increases growth. Oh! It increases growth for adjacent provinces, too. That's pretty nice. So if I say conquered Carrick 8 Peaks, which is adjacent to this province, I would also get a growth bonus there.
Carrick 8 Peaks was an important dwarven settlement?
Yep. It's not important at all to Grimgor, but it is a powerful settlement. Finally. Oh no. Okay, that's a new category. But we'll deal with that after. And this is the boss town. It further increases obedience. It also increases Untainted, which is... It's not really a concern at this phase in the game. But vampires, chaos, and Skaven all cause faction-unique types of corruption, which will decrease your obedience. Does that make sense?
One more time. This is the last phrase that you said. Something decrease obedience.
Skaven, vampires, and chaos can all create, they all have a stat called corruption, which when spread to your area decreases obedience.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
I just missed the first half of it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Kind of like where I didn't miss it, but it didn't register.
Finally, we're going to go into this category that is new for the mod as far as I can tell. It's called Big Stuff. And from the looks of it, it's for combat bonuses. Alright, yeah, from the looks of it, most of these are like defensive buffs, except for this one, which actually increases my research rate, which allows me
I just want to read. Do Gobos set up their tent straight away so they have somewhere to hide if one of them orcs tries to eat them? Nice.
And yeah, the rest of these are all just local bonuses, so like Watchtower, it reduces your recruitment cost. It makes income from raiding increase. It makes your obedience in adjacent provinces a little better. Man, I should have started with the vanilla game because these are all like really advanced concepts in this building chain.
You know what? It's okay because we're at the beginning of the game and I'll grow into it. So, you know.
Okay, so I'm going to make a decision right here to build idols, because they increase my growth, which will ultimately benefit me in the long run because it'll let me upgrade my Black Crag building, and it will let me build more buildings.
Just do it.
All right.
Get to that. The growth is the pre-growth. It's like the growth before you can grow.
All right.
But you can grow faster because you upgraded the growth.
Yes.
Okay.
Cumulative effect. All right, I'm gonna fight Ganache with Grimgor.
I think the G is silent. Don't you think it's just Nash?
It could
like
be.
Steve?
I don't know. Orcs are dumb enough. They would definitely
We
pronounce.
should call him Steve
Holy
Ganesh.
shit! Okay. So I'm gonna fight this guy directly because it's more entertaining to watch.
Okay.
But you can see the balance of power bar here. Obviously,
It's in your favor.
it is super in my favor, but also this. So this little the cross like red and yellow.
Yeah. Yeah. There's like a
that is a variable.
like a candy cane.
So if I were to hit auto resolve, which would automatically fight the fight for me, that like my odds of victory could fall anywhere within that, and I would lose my troops accordingly. You see these numbers? That's the number of units I have, and obviously there's like little health bars. So. I've hit that point where I realize I've had a lot to drink.
Samesies. I feel like we'll do this battle and then we can like start getting like chewing, really chewing the guff. Chewing chewing the
What?
chaff. Chewing the cud next time we we decide to do this.
Okay. Well, we're gonna have a fight. Oh, I've got so much stuff to explain. My feelings of intense regret for taking on this project are starting to set in.
You know that you can stop at any time, and it's fine.
No, I've committed. I have an audience now.
An audience of 0? I'm sure no one's watching. Are there people watching?
There were at least 2 people watching. Also, Marla was definitely watching for she chatted.
I'm sure. Yeah.
But at least 2 people. Also, Marlo is Twitch Prime. That's neat. But yeah. But at least 2 other people have been actively engaged with this stream, which is unusual for me. All right.
There you go. We've got single digits, baby.
All right. Let's talk about units. All right. So.
I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units.
Well, okay. Let's scroll down. So, okay. Let's talk about infantry.
Are they gobos?
Some of them are gobos. Okay, so infantry. These guys right here, you can tell that infantry are usually on foot. They often have one-handed or two-handed weapons. Some of them have shields. As you can see, these fellas here, they're black orcs. They're heavily armored. They got the two-handed weapons there. These are goblins. And as you can see, they have shields. Shields will actually protect them from rain, like missile attacks. So
sure, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that tracks.
So they've got 2 units of archers here. So when these goblins rush on the enemy, they'll be able to deflect those missiles and they'll take less casualties. You've also got these orcs right here, the orc boys. They've got shields, so they will also.
I love that like everything has an adjective. They're confident and fresh.
Yeah.
Which I feel like maybe like Drake's major adjective.
So those are individual stats, so I have to explain those. So confident is their leadership level. So you might.
Oh, okay.
Do you see? There's like 2 bars.
Is that where like obedience comes in?
No. That's map level. So you might. So notice above, there's like 2 little bars. You see them there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The top one is like overall unit health. That kind of speaks for itself. The lower that gets, the more units they use. So there's 160 boys in this unit. As that bar goes down, there will be less and less boys. Underneath that is leadership. If that bar decays, the unit will break and they will start to run away. Which kind of like, as you can see, I have a formation here. That's very important in Total War games. The formation will break and they'll run away. It'll fuck up my whole formation.
Okay.
You get that? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So the same rules apply to all 3 of these infantry units here. Let's talk about ranged units. Thankfully, orcs don't know how to make guns, so we only get archers. Look at these guys, they're so happy. Yeah! There's a lot of personality here. I don't know.
I like the apple, like, on their heads. Pretty great.
Apple?
Yeah, they don't have an apple on their heads?
No, those are feathers.
Oh.
Yeah. That would be really funny though if they had apples on their heads. Some of them have helmets, some of them don't. Anyways, they do exactly what you think they do. They shoot arrows at the enemy. Cavalry. So obviously these guys.
Cavalry is cavalry.
These guys ride on. They ride on. These are
boars.
These are boar boys. So obviously they ride on boars.
I love them. Look at these little warty piggos. I'm into it.
So we're actually going to reposition these guys, because why the fuck would you put your cavalry in the middle of your infantry? Because we want them far out to the side where they can flank our enemies. We have so there are so individual units, obviously. You see Grimgor all by himself. He is a big, tough badass. He fights by himself. He is his own unit.
Forever alone.
I mean, he's got a wah. He doesn't need to worry too much. Okay. Alright, last one for now. We haven't talked about casters, but there aren't any in this battle. These are artillery units, as you can tell. They have a little
large scale load and
now these guys are special because they are doom diver catapults. You can't see any when they're not in action, but they fire goblins out of these catapults.
Oh. I love it. I love it.
But yeah, as obviously artillery, very long range. They have a minimum range, not good in melee combat. But yeah, that's our strategy, or rather our battle lines. I'm just gonna move Grimgor up here so that he's in line, so that he can move to flank. I have created a command group, so these characters will all move at the same speed in the same formation, no matter where I send them, unless I tell them to break up. I think that's it. So let's start the fight.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. So I've got artillery.
Come on, Ard boys.
So I've got the advantage.
I've got money on this fight, so
I do have the advantage of having siege artillery, so I can pelt them with artillery business here at my leisure until they come charging at me. I've already fucked up because my front lines are all right. Moving fast. All right. Oh, there he goes. You see him? See him go?
I do. Oh.
There they go. All right, now watch this.
Highly effective.
Yep.
Are they just dead on impact? So these are like kamikaze combos?
Yes.
Oh no. Oh, I don't know about that.
Oh, they're not advancing on me. That's really interesting.
Where they go?
Oh, there they go. They're moving now. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've prompted them to start advancing on me, which is good. Oh boy. This game, I tell you what. Also,
it's a lot.
Grimgor's special. He gets his own wah, so he gets extra stuff to his attack. Okay, they're about to get in ranged missile range. I know these goblins have shields, so I'm not going to shoot them with my ranged archers. Instead, I'm going to focus on their war boss, because I'm pretty sure he doesn't have a shield. I can... Oh, fuck, he has a shield. We're going to shoot the orc error boys. Oh, this is a bad position to be in. Alright. So I'm going to... Ideally, you want to have your missiles firing before your front line engages. So I'm going to have them get in there. Get in there, my boys. And I'm going to have Grimgor engage their war boss, because he is the best suited to fighting them. He has I believe he has a special trait called Duelist, which makes him more effective.
Mono.
Yes, which makes him more effective when fighting fewer targets. Alright, boys. I'm actually going to back up my arrows a little bit. Alright, so as you can see, I've depleted the leadership of these archers right here.
And they are going. Bye-bye.
So now they'll be back eventually. Their leadership gradually replenishes over time. So they'll eventually turn around and start fighting again. But in the meantime, while they are not...
I'll work on that one.
While they're not dealing damage to me, I'm just gonna hit these ones. Also, I have made a fundamental strategic mistake by not having my my Black Orcs engage with the enemy. All right, I've made their leader turn. That's good. Oh, also my Wa meter has filled, so now I can activate my Wa. So now I am all my troops are significantly more powerful.
Because you've reached Wa level.
I have activated the Wa buff, which gives me extra damage, extra armor piercing damage, extra melee attack. Also, there's a concept in this game called psychology, where things can inflict fear on me, which makes my morale go down faster. But I am now immune to that. Oh, and I've been a complete dipshit and have not used my cavalry, so we're gonna get them.
Here they come.
Yep, they're gonna get right into my enemy flanks here. Come on, run faster.
So, have you ever heard of Eckankar?
Eckankar?
Eckankar. Eckankar.
That does not sound familiar to me, no.
It's like a spiritual group, and it's a lot. I don't want to go into it, but they have this thing called the Hue that they sing.
Oh, sorry, shut up. Sorry, I didn't mean to tell you. Watch. Come on. Oh, they're already running, so cavalry charges usually send individual units inside the thing, flying. Oh, I already beat them. Damn. Okay, I did not get to show you what a good cavalry charge looks like, but it's still a decisive victory for me. All right, continue talking about Eckankar.
He was like Wa, that's all.
He was like Wa? What?
The Hue.
Oh.
They sing the Hue. It's like everyone comes together and they're like,
Oh.
and they're like, but it's more than that. But everybody's voices comes together and they open up into vowels and stuff like that.
Oh.
And they sing a Hue, and then that spiritually Oh my god, can you still hear me?
No, I can hear you. I should point out.
I thought I'd turn off my computer.
These are these right here are kill counters. So you can see my Doom Diver catapults killed 198 units just
Wow.
from shooting at them. My Black Orcs, even
Wiped
though they
them out.
weren't engaged for half the fight, killed 182 units.
Wow.
Yeah.
It looks like they killed 54 units with their Nash's like horned
With the
marauders.
those are just Orc boys. See,
Orc
I got
boys.
some here too. Boys.
Them boys.
All right. That was pretty good for me. That worked out. That was probably better than the auto resolve results. So I
Sounds
get
good.
3 choices. I can ransom the captives, get a little extra money. I can slaughter the captives. I can kill all the gits. And I get a little bonus for my provinces, or I get a charge bonus for my army when they're fighting subsequent battles. Or I can eat the captives, which gives me... wow!
There's a lot of text here
they really...
I'm just reading.
This is really... the mod really changes this. So, under normal circumstances, in the vanilla game, you would just replenish your base units. So you would get a little replenishment. That would be nice. But in this one, you also gain physical resistance for the armory. You get a better replenishment rate, and also it lowers your speed because your characters are so full, and you get +1 obedience for all your provinces.
These scraggy gits look tasty.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you want to do. I need 1 second. Sorry. I'll be right back.
Okay. Oh.
Sorry about that. Zelda was chewing something she shouldn't have been.
Oh.
But we have removed the item.
For any stream audience that may be remaining, Zelda is Emily's cat. I think I'm going to eat my captives.
Eat them.
Because I could use a little extra mans. And as you can see, I have not fully defeated the enemy army yet. They have taken, if you see the thing here, they have taken significant casualties. And I can roll in and finish them off. I'm gonna auto-resolve this battle. Because, as you can see, the battle is very in my favor. So
Much in your favor, yeah.
there you go. I only lost a little bit of my orc boys.
And they lost everything.
Grimgor, significantly better in this round. He killed 286 guys by himself. So yeah, I'm gonna... I've got so much money, I don't need it. Let's give myself a little growth bonus. Oh, it looks like...
How much can you do on a turn?
As much as my unit has movement. It looks like they took out a mechanic that was in the vanilla game where if you killed an enemy warlord, you could basically commandeer his entire faction. So it looks like they took that out. So I'm gonna have to conquer this guy's entire wah the hard way. Let's talk about level ups. All right.
I mean, okay, I'm just going to say this right now. I'm here for it. and I'm here as long as you want to do it. But also, if you need a break,
No, it's okay.
let me know.
We're gonna finish this. I think we'll finish this turn, and then next time we will resume starting sober, and then we will get gradually more drunk as I play this game, because that seems to be a good arc for these streams. There are as you can see, there are some that are locked off. They're locked behind level ups. These are all unique abilities for Grimgor. He's special. He gets special abilities. But we're not going to focus on those now. So all right, we're going to talk about colors, which, as you understand, is not a strong suit of mine.
I do understand that.
Green...
Do you want me to tell you what the colors are?
No,
or do you want me to shut up?
I'm pretty sure this line is green.
Nope.
All right. What line? What?
A dead ard? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. What color?
That's yellow, like golden.
Yellow.
Yeah.
So the yellow. Fuck. The yellow line is personal. So that applies just to the legendary lord. So, like, it increases his charge bonus, increases his weapon strength, increases his hit points, increases melee attack, etc., and so forth.
It's a straight line.
I'll explain that to you eventually. As you can see, there are little, like, around
locks on them.
There's a little border. If I select that, you notice it unlocks 4 different within the block. I can pump that up. These are troop based bonuses. So all of these bonuses apply to like troops that are in my army. So like if I wanted to do the big lads, it would buff all trolls, giants, rogue idols, or Ragnarok spider units in my army. And that goes on for a little while. Down here, the blue line is stuff that benefits me on the campaign map. So out here. So Route Marcher will make me move further every turn, or anytime I want to move. Deaf from below refers to a specific ability.
This game is like so on the nose. Like
orcs, dwarves, and Skaven all have a specific ability that lets them tunnel underground. So you might notice like the movement radius. You see the borders there. Those are all like, my character can walk. But if I were using the underways, I could just move directly through mountains.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's an ability unique to orcs. Oh, actually, it's quite a few units. Now that I think about it, we won't get into that. We don't need to do that right now. What you need to know is orcs can move underground. That's important for them.
Makes sense.
And deaf from below basically makes that better. Raider makes me better at raiding, which is also a stance I can take on the overworld map. Oh, they changed this a little bit. So,
Wow!
I was looking at the options. Yes, Wah begins. In this case, I would get my Raiden Camp, which lets me effectively steal money from my enemies.
All right.
So that,
money's always good, right?
I appreciate that under orcs, their passive regional income is called income extortion rate. That's usually called tax rate. In the other, man, we really started with like the wrong faction for like explaining base game mechanics because it's all different because it's lore appropriate.
I gave for what it's worth. I did give options.
Yeah. Looter. I get an upkeep bonus, but looting settlements means I'll show you that in a moment. I'll show you what that means. Ravager. This also gives me income from sacking settlements, and also reduces the recruitment cost for my units. So if I wanted to get more units in this army, if I picked that ability, oops, that's not what I wanted. If I picked that ability, it would be cheaper to get them to acquire.
Okay.
Up here are just, you know, general buffs. So if I pick Tunnel Boss, I'd be better at fights in battles specifically pertaining to the underway mechanic.
Okay.
Bellower increases my leadership aura size. So every hero / general character has a leadership aura, and it improves the leadership of people around them. So that makes sense. That's the bar that decreases that makes
you're
them
fighting,
out.
and then like a big orc like runs in and is like, and you're like, yeah, me too.
Exactly.
You know?
There are also buffs that pertain to the leadership aura, but I don't have any of those yet. So right now I'm going to take Dead Ard, because I always love an armor bonus. Armor is one of the most valuable ability stats in the game because it is a flat damage reduction, and that's always good. I'm also going to take Route Marcher because I like being able to move my armies further.
Sounds good.
This is my tech tree. I think you've seen this.
Different than I've seen.
You've seen.
Yeah.
I remember you saying the words "gobby gobbos" out loud at some point.
But in reverence, I think it's worth saying in reverence.
Gobby gobbos makes
as a Gerblin myself.
Gobby gobbos makes my goblin units better. Go faster makes me go faster. Makes me move faster on the campaign.
Oh, I don't like abuse them.
Well, you can use them and abuse them, which increases different stats for different goblins.
Some of them want to use them. Some of them want to be used.
And then I have...
Some of them want to abuse them. Some of them want to be abused.
I have Go Bigger, which increases my growth rate and also makes it cheaper for me to recruit orc units. Specifically orcs, not goblins, not trolls.
The tech tree is more related to the cities?
Tech tree is related to the greater faction as a whole. So once I research this, so I'll press this, and that little icon there means it will research in 4 turns. There are ways you can improve your research rate, like they have a
I see.
Up here
I see.
Yeah. But for now, this will research in 4 turns. In 4 turns, I will get better growth across my entire faction, and any army I have that will get a 5% reduction on recruitment cost. So these are like the big bonuses. This applies to everything in my faction. Holy shit! This stuff right here, this is all added from the mod. Holy moly. Can I select those at this point? I guess not, because it would highlight them.
It would yeah.
Oh, I need specific buildings for this. Okay, I understand. I need Orky Forts to get Orcs are the best. I need Gobbo Metropolis to get private goblin workshops. And I would need Shrine to Gork and Mork for a Savage Wah. Huh, that's they fleshed it out a lot. Because the biggest wah is where this ended in the base game.
And then I'm the boss. Can you go to I'm the boss and just put over to see
I'm
what
the boss. You need an uber mega tower.
Okay.
Yeah. Huh. That's fun. That's new. Oh, this mod is great. I love it. It adds so much to the game. All right, so I'm gonna besiege Iron Rock.
Yeah, you are, Grimgore.
I'm just gonna take this. Normally I would fight that battle, but it's Well, actually, normally no, I would auto-resolve. All right. I have now defeated a settlement. I get the option. So orcs can only loot and occupy. That means they steal all the shit from the settlement and then they occupy it as a settlement of their own.
Okay.
Or they sack it, where they take all of the shit and then leave. They can raise it, which destroys the settlement. Or they... Oh, this is new. They can raise for meat, which looks like it provides a faction-wide growth bonus. So this is new. This is not... This is part of the mod. So I think the implication is I burn the place down and I take all of the inhabitants and I
Eat them?
I eat them. Yes. In this case, I'm gonna.
Okay, so I just an icon question. Money 293. Red dot +2. What's red dot?
Red dot. Okay, so I'm gonna loot and occupy.
Okay.
Up here is
Your
my
territory expands, savage
For
lord.
Christ's sake, I'm
Yet there are many
busy.
lands to conquer.
Tutorialize me later. Up here is a little bar. You see how it's like filled with.
Yeah,
blood?
I see the bar. Yeah.
When I get that's my influence. Oh man, they fleshed this out a lot. Generally so in the original game, this was just a bar that increased, but it looks like it gives me bonuses now. I'm not going to talk too much about them. Oh, that's funny. God, that's so fucking funny. I wish you had the context for this.
One day I will understand the joke.
So the idea of this is that the more you build this bar, the greater your reputation as a green skin lord is increasing.
Okay.
So that's like lots of greenskins are like, oh man, I heard this guy's a real badass. We should go join him, is what this is supposed to reflect. But also, at the same time, you might notice there is an obedience penalty the higher this bar gets. Because
so basically you're like asking them to do more things.
well, the higher you get, the more restless they're getting. Until you finally declare a wah. When you declare a wah, that means you're like, everyone's ready. Let's go. Let's fuck some shit up. Because when you're in this third bar here, everyone's like, oh man, I'm so ready to have a wah. I'm so ready to fight. They're like your faction is, they're fighting each other. They're just they're ready. They're ready to
go.
They're so ready for a fight that they are just like beating each other up.
Nice.
So then when you get to this point, you declare a wah. You select a... Oh, I can't see any right now. But you would select a settlement, and it would declare a wah on that faction.
Okay.
Once you... Hold on. Sorry. When you loot things, you damage the buildings in them. So you have to repair the buildings in them. I'm just looking.
That tracks.
I'm looking over my resources here. I'm gonna just increase the growth for this province. All right. So yeah, you declare a wall on them, and the objective is to hold their faction capital. And at the end of the wall, you get. You can't see it right here because we don't have one yet, but you get a trophy which provides permanent bonuses for your entire faction based on which race you declared war on.
Okay.
Sorry, wah. This is new. Huh, okay. I'm not going to deal with that. But yeah. That's kind of like the... So another thing about wah is that so you see? So let's get close here. Let's get intimate with our Grimbor boy here. You see this little bar here next to his flag?
I do.
This is unique to orcs. Only orcs get this. They get a second bar, which is a second army that follows them around and will reinforce you in battle. As long as the law is active. And the longer the law goes, the bigger that bar gets and the more extra units you get.
I think that's a good thing. Sounds good.
It is good. It's really good for... It really makes the orcs the offensive Great Green Tide. I keep calling them orcs because that's their Warhammer 40k name, but they are green skins. Holy shit. I've got so many things to pick. I'm going to take Bellower. That's a good one. Inspiring Presence. Going to take 2 levels of Du Bois to pump up my orc units. Alright. Do you have any questions?
I mean, I don't know enough to have questions, to be honest with you. I think I get the gist. So, but what I really don't understand is like when you get into the battles, then I'm a little bit lost. But I think I understand the basic mechanics of like resource development and, research trees and stuff like that. So.
All right.
And like, what's the relationship between the settlements and your fighting units? Like, there seems to be like kind of Grimgor running around with his pack. And then there's like places that you upgraded. So what's the relationship between those two things?
Settlements allow you to do recruitment. So I'm gonna click this button right here.
So better troops or more troops?
It's more while I'm in friendly territory, I can recruit troops. So since my army is in Iron Rock, which was formerly Red Fang's territory. If I were in Red Fang's territory right now, I would not be able to recruit. But I'm in my own territory, so I can recruit. I can get orc boys, goblins, or goblin archers. I'm going to get, because I'm an aggressive boy.
1 each.
Nope. I'm actually going to get 2 units of orc boys, because I just picked a level up bonus that gives me a bonus to Du Bois, which specifically refers to the orcs.
Yes, you beefed up your orkies.
And so while I'm in local territory, I can recruit. That's good for me. It also gives me, you see that little green or yellow patch? That's replenishment. That means I have 120 orc boys, but that unit size is 160. I can fill that back up while I'm in friendly territory.
What does the plus symbol mean?
That means I am currently replenishing that unit.
Okay.
So yeah, actually, there you go. There's your this little text right there to explain it to you. Well, yeah.
Cool beans.
Okay. Now I'm gonna press the end turn button and watch how everyone else in the world reacts to me.
Hoo-ha! Little midsummer there, a little midsummer joke there. I don't think that you watch that kind of stuff.
I have not seen Midsummer, no. So as you can see up top here, this is every single faction in the game taking their turn.
Yes. So, I remember being confused by this when I first watched you play this. Mm-hmm. I was like, who's the Bone Rattlers? Like, I was just like, I just was like yelling out names.
If it ends with a Z, that means it's an orc faction. Now you might be wondering, what's this up here? What's this weird blue? Is it blue?
There's a blue, like, spurt.
Yeah. That is a quest.
Right north of Grimgore.
Yeah.
Like it says Grimgore Ironhide, and then right above that, is that what you're talking about? Yeah, it's blue.
So that's a quest battle.
Like a nice teal color, actually.
I'm not
Very
actually
nice.
sure what it's for. Oh, okay.
It's a quest?
Yeah. So quests are a thing in this game. They're usually hero specific. This is really odd. I thought they took these out. I'm not gonna do it right now. I think this is where we're gonna end.
Okay.
But yeah. So look here. See Iron Rock? Iron Rock now has enough population for me to upgrade the settlement level. So
which is good because then everything else can be upgraded.
Yeah. It also lets me have more. Not only does it allow me to upgrade the buildings on the settlement, it also lets me put more buildings on the settlement.
Okay.
All right.
That makes sense.
All right. I'm gonna stop there because that is I don't feel like fighting that battle. Man, I am so tired. I've been talking about Warhammer for like 4 hours now.
It's true. You did a really good chunk. You, what a selfless task you've taken upon yourself.
It was my idea. I volunteered for it. For anyone who is still watching the stream, this is where I bid you adieu. Thank you for watching, and
thank you for watching.
If you're watching the stream archive, I don't know, like, comment, subscribe. I guess I'm uploading this to YouTube.
The Twitch thing? Are you? Cool.
Well, I guess on Twitch you can subscribe and follow, which are two different things. One of them involves money, and I'm pretty sure my account is not set up for subscriptions. But it is set up to follow. But I am also uploading this to YouTube because Twitch only archives videos for 60 days. And that I want to.
So if you want to keep,
I want to say it's like 10 days for. I have Amazon Prime. So that gives me Twitch Prime, which lets me hold them for 60 days. But I want to say it's like 10 or 30 days for people who don't have Twitch Prime accounts. But yeah. Either way, I'm uploading this to YouTube because I don't want it available for a limited time. So everyone can listen to me talk about my admittedly somewhat limited knowledge of Warhammer for about 3 hours, and then watch me play Total Warhammer.
I don't know. I feel like I've been professed. Is that the verb? No. I feel like I've been told.
You've been. I've really enlightened you on the world of Warhammer. Okay.
Yeah, I have been awakened to the beauty of Warhammer.
All right.
I can still say definitively that this is a game I would not personally play. I say that as someone who very knowingly has limited success at strategy RPGs.
I mean, in all fairness, I am also really bad at this game. Like, anyone coming to this stream be like, I'm ready for some, let's go. Let's watch some some
hard-hitting Warhammer action.
Total War Warhammer. I'm ready to watch someone who has any business playing a modded version of Warhammer that adds more mechanics and makes it more complicated. I'm ready for those people. You should follow Circovich on YouTube or something, because I am bad at this game. But I love it. It's so fun. I love this universe. I love the game. So fuck it. I'm gonna do a dumbass Twitch stream where I explain game mechanics for 3 hours at a time, while I drink way too much wine.
I will say that next time I'm gonna be okay, can you just give me a quick rerun of the mechanics?
Great, it's gonna be awesome. I mean, my idea
mostly just not the mechanic. I understand the research trees. I just don't necessarily understand what the battle part.
Yeah, my initial intention with this series was to be I'm gonna explain literally everything I do. So in that opening battle, I kind of failed in that. Well, no, I did it. I forgot about my cavalry, but the intention was like, if I'm going to use strategy to flank with my cavalry and show you how I perform there's a very common concept in Total War games called hammer. Actually, you know what? I think it's war in general, but it's called hammer and anvil, where you have a steady unit, the anvil, and then you have a unit that comes in and crashes through the rear of the enemy lines. That's the hammer. So you crush the enemy unit between the hammer and anvil. That's a very common term from Warhammer in general. Not Warhammer. Actually, I guess, yeah, the tabletop Warhammer, hammer and anvil is a thing. But Total War uses the phrase hammer and anvil a lot. Not in the games, but in the community that plays it. I'm getting pretty boring now.
Good caveat. Good caveat.
Yeah. But yeah, that's I lost my train of thought. I don't know where I was going with
That's Warhammer.
That's Warhammer, baby.
And on that note,
Thanks for anyone who is still watching. What is actually wrong with you? You've been staring at a static gameplay screen for like 5-10 minutes now. I admire your dedication. All right,
this
thank
is the
you.
kind of content that the internet needs.
Thank you. Good night. Goodbye.